But you stay on hard.
All right. Hello, welcome to another live episode of the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford, A.D. Drew here, live and direct on a Sunday night from our home studios. Good to see Drew in his home studio to start the show. Drew, how's that feel? I bet you forgot what that felt like for a while.
I was here Thursday, bro, so I was able to get used to it and get it arranged like it was supposed to be, because I had to break down some equipment and take certain stuff with me and all that good stuff. So I hooked it back up on Thursday, and I've been it's good just to be able to go to the bedroom to the studio on the other side of the house.
There you go. All right. Good stuff. Well,
and
welcome.
I need everybody out there. If y'all catch a NBA free agent signing before we do during this show, because the free agency period started 10 minutes ago, please put it in the chat. I mean, I've got the phone right here, so I can see the alerts as they come through, but you guys may catch them before we do.
I got one for you that just came across.
Already?
6:01 p.m. When does the signing period start?
6 o'clock Eastern.
All right. First one that I see here, breaking news. 10-time All-Star James Harden is planning to return to the Clippers on a 2-year, $70 million deal. Way too much money to pay James Harden. Way too much money.
I want to see if the Lakers wind up getting Klay Thompson. That's the thing.
He'd be crazy not to go back to his daddy's former team, right? Got to go back to the Lakers. Got to go back.
And I'm interested. The Warriors just waived Chris Paul within the hour.
I saw that. 30 million. Too much to pay Chris Paul to sit on the bench.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious. Is LeBron finally gonna get his opportunity to play with his boy? Will his boy just sign with LeBron, with the LA LeBrons?
What do you mean? Is he going to get a play? Of course he's going to get. I mean, you don't draft him if you're not.
Not his boy, not his son, his boy, Chris Paul.
Oh man,
they've tried to team up a couple of times.
And it's telling. It should tell you something that he has never signed that deal. That's telling. That should tell you something.
Chris Paul tried to play with LeBron, tried to play with Kobe. But every time it's like gotten nixed and everything.
I think that's telling you something. I don't know what it's telling, but it's telling me something. It's telling me something.
And I don't know what Chris Paul is listed at, but he's barely taller than I am.
What, listed as old?
No, that's as far as height-wise.
Old.
Because when I was in Phoenix, I saw him, and Chris Paul is 6 feet with shoes on, probably.
Oh yeah. Have you had a chance to watch Clipped? Have you watched any episodes from the?
Yes, I have. I have been keeping up on it. I am up to date. Well, what even comes on tomorrow? I believe the next episode comes on Mondays.
I don't even know.
But yeah, I binged it to get to a certain point. Then I watched I think they've done 4 episodes. I watched 2. Then I was out in Phoenix for some time, and I lost it. Then I watched the other 2 from while I was out in Phoenix. So I am caught up to date on Clipped.
overall reviews, I like it. I enjoy it a little bit. What's your? Although it is funny watching the players who are supposed to be, certain players. It's kind of funny watching, especially when they got to the Draymond Green, Steph. Steph Curry looks so out of shape. The TV version of Steph Curry looks a little chubby. I'm just saying.
I mean, not Draymond Green. DeAndre Jordan looks awfully short. That's all I'm gonna say. And Blake Griffin looked awfully short.
Oh, but see,
and then Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers.
I'm buying that. I am buying that. I am buying Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers. Shout out to even the cameo, Doc's wife, Chris. You saw the Rivers kids. You saw Jeremiah and Callie and Austin all get a little cameo as they were babies. That was kind of interesting. But I'm digging Ed O'Neill playing Donald Sterling too. That is funny.
I was playing the hell out that part.
Oh, he is. He's playing the hell out of it. So overall, I'm enjoying Clipped. Clipped is great summer TV. And if you remember,
has it been 10 years, Brian?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Which is hard to believe.
Are still in the league 10 years later. That's what's so funny. Is some guys still in the league 10 years later.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, wow. It just seems like last year when this happened, living through that situation with the Clippers and Donald Sterling and all of that jazz.
Yeah, I feel like
But I guess Doc Rivers done been to two teams since then, 3 teams. Is it his 3rd team since then? Let's see. He was at LA. He went to Philly. Did he go from LA to Philly? And now he bogarted his way into Milwaukee.
That's a good way of calling it. Yep. Yeah. So, sports rap recommendation number 1: watch Clipped. I got another show later on in the show that I will recommend as well for your summer streaming pleasure. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's get into a few shout outs as it's good to see people on. We thank everybody for coming in and watching us on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram Live, or X, however you might be watching us. Please make sure you stay subscribed to the Black College Sports Network at MyBCSN1, the number 1. You can also catch any of our shows on Facebook, YouTube, via the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, MyJBN Online, in which you can always join. You can always join and be a part of the JBN family. MyJBN Online/join. Any small donation you make, we got 3 different membership levels. Whatever fits your heart is greatly appreciated. So we thank you for being a monthly subscriber. Those of you who are out there doing so, that's join our YouTube page. All right. Got some HBCU sports stuff to talk about, I'm sure, among other things that we'll talk about this summer. Let's kind of go through and give a few early shout outs to some people who jumped in early and are watching us. Coach Ferrasi coming in early. Good to see you, Coach. Hope all is well with you.
I talked to him earlier today. He's excited and ready to go to his new venture.
Exactly. We need to find out, are we going to have Coach available now that he's back on the sidelines? Will he have time for us in the fall, or do we have to go recruit another coach for our weekly segments during the football season? I enjoyed that segment with the coach, somebody who could give us that perspective. So you gotta reach out. Or actually, Coach, if he's still watching, you got to let us know, Coach, if you're still coming back with us or not.
Well, it's just like free agents. So we offered him a contract extension. It's up to him on whether he's going to take it or.
Coach is like, y'all ain't paying me. I'm gonna have to opt out. It's all good, Coach. No hard feelings. Jeff Roberts, Aggie Pride. Good to see you, Jeff. Thank you for coming in, checking us out as always. Let's see who we got. We got a Rattler in the house, Jimmy Mack, checking in. Good to see you, Jimmy. Appreciate you coming in, J Mack. Chuck Hunt, checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Good evening, Chuck. Hello to you. HBCU band talk coming in. My man Theron making wild claims out there on X, Drew. Wild claims. I'm telling you, man, that AI generated wildcat just caused you to type all kinds of crazy stuff, Theron. I'm gonna hold you to that talk. That talk. See what the Wildcats do this year. Appreciate you being a subscriber as well, Theron. Appreciate you. Also, Tamara T, good evening. Thank you for being a subscriber to the JBN YouTube page. Coach Green coming in. Good to see you, Coach.
Hey, let me know when you get that contract, Coach, so we can
right.
we can officially announce it.
Okay. David Garner checking in. Good to see you, David. Appreciate you coming in. Always dropping some good headlines in the chat. So, always keeping us up to date. Appreciate it. Walter Harley. Thank you, Walter, for coming in on a Sunday. Jeff Roberts. I don't know, Jeff, you're already excited about the Down East Viking Classic, huh? All right. Is that a circle your calendar event, Drew? I don't know. Is that on Drew? We didn't do Drew's top 10 games of the year, but we will do that today. So I wonder, Drew, will this be on your list?
That will not be on my list, but that no offense to it, but that is one that at some point in time is on my bucket list of classics that I would like to attend, though.
Okay. All right. There's another show segment. Great show idea. Bucket list of classics that we want to go to that we haven't been to. Okay. We write that down, Drew. That's another segment, another show for, as we try to fill content during these summer months, we add that one to the list. Edwin Moore, good to see you, Edwin. How's everything going this evening? Mary 305 checking in. Good to see you, Mary. All right. Coach Rossi, he said we can make it happen. All right. I appreciate you finding time for us, Coach. We understand, though. If not, it's all good. No worries. Chris Dukes, thank you for coming in. ODB, good to see you. Thank you for coming in as well. Let's see. Demetra Alford coming in. How you doing, Demetra? Let's see. Oh, Coach Green said, if the money right, I will take your spot. Hey, okay. All right. Well, that won't be hard to top, Coach Green. I'll tell you that. Hey,
we have to say Coach Green for basketball.
Yeah. That's all good. It's all good.
Edward Moore, you wrong for that.
What do you say? About the oh man. Okay.
Wait, but hold up. So everybody.
Hold on, I didn't see it. Hold on a second. I'm operating somewhere. Oh, is he talking about what's the name of it again?
Down East Viking Classic.
The Down East Viking Classic. Man. Okay. Yes, it is a classic. Stop it.
Yes, it is. And Brian, before we get into the show, I must give thanks. I must give thanks for my black job covering black college sports on the Black College Sports Network.
Yo, that was that post that you put. I don't know. Did you download it yet? Did you download that post?
You want me to go ahead and bring that up?
Bring it up in the second segment. Bring up Black Jobs.
Black Jobs. Anybody looking for a black job? I've got a few job openings for you guys. So
got some suggestions.
Got some suggestions for you.
Mr. Figures, good to see you coming in. Great question. I'm going to hedge to the no on your question. I'm hedging to the no. So we'll see. Will FAMU football return to the OBC next year? Just not a solid yes, but I'm hedging to the no. All right. So as we like to kind of go through some of the news and notes from the past week and then eventually get to what's ahead or what's on our mind, I know Drew said he wanted to start with the SWAC spring meeting recap. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, SWAC spring meeting recap. You know what was interesting is it's good to be sort of connected and know people, because if you are a regular listener to this show, whether it be Dr. or this network, whether it was Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab or the Carlos Brown, many of the notes that come from the spring meetings were hinted at, talked about
Stuff we had already talked about
on this show, on these shows. Why? Because we have people who are connected. We got people who are in the know. And so although the conversations weren't official, but you shouldn't be surprised by some of the news. But let's go ahead and react to it all the same. The league voted to expand the number of teams, probably, and I think this is one of the more, dare I use the word controversial, I'll say interesting nuggets. The league voted to expand the number of teams that will participate in the SWAC men's and women's basketball tournaments from 8 to 10 teams on both sides for the 2025 tournament. Which, Drew, is it? Okay, hold on. Let me finish here. The 2026 tournament will feature all 12 men's and women's teams. So, my first question was going to be, it is believed by many of the talking heads on our network that the tournament in 25 will be moved to Atlanta, Georgia. That is not official, but that's the strong belief. Like that must
you a betting man, Brian.
Huh?
I say you a betting man. Right now, it's probably a minus 150.
Hey, the easiest money you could have made this week was betting on Bronny James to go to the Lakers, even at minus 160, Drew, which I shamefully didn't bet, but I would have made money, because so if that was minus 160, I'm guessing this is minus 200. Just my observation. That means bet $2 to win one, or bet $200 to win one. Okay. So with that said, Drew, moving from an 8-team to 10-team, what's your initial thoughts, and then moving it to 12?
8 to 10, 10 to 12 is the growth process, trying to feel this out. 8 going to 10 is just like what the SWAC used to be when there were 2 teams always left out. When it was a 10-team conference and they took 8, there was always 2 teams left out. And you did not want to be those 2 teams that were left out on both sides. For a student experience portion, I think it's good. But if we're really looking for the student experience, go ahead and put all 12 teams in instead of trying to grandfather it in. Although I think I kind of understand from a budget perspective, it gives people a whole year to make sure that they have it in their budget, because a lot of these teams' budgets were due before this announcement was made, even though it was talked about. I personally, from a competitive point, yes, it waters down the tournament. Let's be real. It does water down the tournament with all 12 teams in there. But from a student athlete perspective, it's a home run. For the host city, it's also a home run, because now that's going to be more teams that are going to be staying in the hotels, more tax revenue, more restaurants that are going to be eaten in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that also kind of levels the playing field, because now everybody has to travel to the tournament ultimately within 2 years. So they're good and bad on both sides. But for me, as a basketball fan, long as we don't get early round 20 and 30 point games, I'm happy for it. consistently get, because you get one of those in the tournament every year. Let's be real, on both sides. But as long as we don't consistently get those 20 and 30-point games, it's going to do it. And then what I am interested to see with next year's bracket and the bracket in 2 years is obviously 10 and 12 require buys.
Sure.
So it mathematically, you have to have a buy there somewhere. You have to have buys with 10 and 12, because unless it divides by 4, it doesn't come out evenly in a bracket situation. So 4, 8, 16, it has to come out. For it to come out even. So how do you reward your top teams with the buys? That's what I want to see when the brackets come out, is how they reward the top teams. Because with the 10, it's kind of easy to see team 1 and team 2 are hardly going to get those first round by while everybody else plays. So that's what I want to see. What advantage do those two teams get? Is it just they playing a team who's played a game, or do they get to buy into the semifinals or quarterfinals, or how do we form it so that it becomes a reward for you winning the conference? And the same thing is going to apply when we go to a 12-team tournament. How do you reward your top teams in the conference with your buy system? And apparently they have not released the bracket, but from what I've been told, the bracket is set. The bracket is done. It just has not been publicly released.
So couple of thoughts here, and I see, well, hold on. Stephen Gaither, appreciate you coming in. This right here is my worry about the eventual expansion to 12, where every member gets in. As Steve brings up, obviously the CIA, everybody gets in, right? The worst,
and so does the SIAC. Just for full transparency, so does the SIAC.
All right. The worst team beats the team with the best record. Now, here's a little caveat to that, right? The best team, if I'm not mistaken, had a double bye, meaning
Correct.
Bluefield State got to play 2 games prior to going into that game against Winston-Salem. That's an advantage. Why? Because your juices are pumped. You are excited. I mean, look, when you get to the tournament,
you have a rhythm.
Student experience, great. And because of that, when you win those first 2 games, you're going into that game against the number 1 seed. You're thinking, hell, we just won 2 games in the tournament. We can go win another game. Let's go. We're excited. We played 2 games. Whereas Winston-Salem or whoever is in that double bye, and usually there's 4 teams that have that double bye in the CIAA, right? And we see
CIAA and SIAC top 4 have.
And we have seen every year we even talked about it. Somebody in that double bye loses.
I say it. Yep. I say it. Somebody,
men, you say it.
On the men or the women's side in the CIAA and the SIAC, there's always someone who loses their opening round matchup who had the double bye.
Exactly.
And the way the SIAC does it, there's some teams who have a single bye and some teams who have a double bye.
Right.
Because I don't know if we remember what was it, 2 years ago when Benedict made its way to the championship game. They actually played 6 games that week, the championship game, when they lost to, I believe it was to Savannah State. Don't quote me on that. But that was the year they took all those games away from Benedict, and they still made it to them. They had to play whatever the extra play-in game was in the SIAC. So,
all right.
And they were
so Steve, correct me here. Bluefield had only played 1 game, but they still had that game. There's a positive to having a game under your belt, whatever, shaking off nerves and things like that. Oh, here it was. Okay, Steve said they played Monday. They were off Tuesday, while
one on Wednesday at 3.
The team, the team had sit. So, but here's my thing, especially at the Division I level for the SWAC. And I say, and you've heard me say this many times on this show, that the whole objective of the mid-majors, and I'm talking 1-bid leagues, is to get your best team, maybe your best two teams, one of your best two, maybe three, into the NCAA tournament because they have the best shot of winning a game. Winning a game means money for the conference, okay? So let's keep it real, what it's really about. That's why they're talking about expanding the tournament from 68 teams to
72 or 76.
Right. That's why they're expanding so that they can put more of the Power 4 teams in, or whatever we're at now, whatever your power teams are. It's not to give more room for the one bid league.
It'll still be the same 31 bid leagues.
Exactly. It'll be the same 15 teams that get 16 teams probably that get one bid. So I have long said it makes no sense for the SWAC and all the other one bid leagues to play these postseason tournaments where you play 18, 19, 20 regular season games, and then one night, one bad day, your top seed gets knocked out. Now, I know, shame on me, because that's the magic of March. That's what gets everyone excited. Well, not for one bid leagues. One big leagues, it should be to get your best team into the tournament. That's what it should be. So I worry now, again, that when you eventually move to 12, and looking at the standings from last year, right, from this past season, the 12 seed would have been Mississippi Valley State. They were 1-17 in conference. The 11 seed was FAMU. They were 4-14 in conference. The 10 seed was Prairie View A&M. They were 5-13. Now, I don't care what you say, there's always a possibility that maybe a Prairie View or Florida A&M, who I know this is going to sound hard for some people to believe, I'm speaking for FAMU. Roster-wise, they weren't a bad team. Roster construction-wise, okay? I can't speak for Prairie View. I didn't watch a lot of Prairie View games. But could FAMU in a tournament situation where they got matched up against the right opponent, could they steal a win? Yes. Could all of a sudden now they have belief and they steal a second win? Possible. Okay. That's the danger when you start adding the 12, 11, 10. Now, look, this past year, you had the 7, 8, 9 all separated by one game. There was drama, Drew. There was drama in becoming the 8 seed. The 8 seed was UAPB. They beat the tiebreaker over Alabama State. Alabama State, both teams finished 18-10. I don't know. I don't recall exactly what the tiebreaker was. But, hey, and Alabama A&M, guess what? They had to win a game down the stretch, Drew, just to make sure they didn't fall out of the top 8.
They get to the 7.
Exactly. So the drama.
Hey, Bryan, do you not remember 2 years ago when Texas Southern had to win to get in?
That's the
drama. And won the whole damn thing.
That's the drama. I'm fine with 8.
So
I'm fine with 8.
The counter argument was we've had 8 win the doggone tournament and go to the NCAAs. And I'm talking about 2 years ago, Bryan. Now, yes, Texas Southern is the standard when it comes to SWAC basketball. We all know that.
Yes,
but the fact that they came in
is not the same. You know what I know. Every 8,
we know Texas Southern had some stuff go on that year,
that happens
injuries and everything.
Year. Yes, so I don't know, man. Look, you can tell me about the student athlete experience, but here we are in a decade, in a period of time when young people are being given so much. You're giving. Are they really earning? Are they really having to learn the merits of the? I mean, I think that's the beauty of an 8 team where 4 teams don't make it. You want an experience? Bust your tail in February to make sure you're one of the top 8. If you have a bad first half of the season, guess what? You get the second half of the season. Turn your season around. Dig deep. Fight harder. Play a little tougher defense. Box out. Make one extra play, Drew. Isn't that what we as coaches talk about? Make an extra play. Touch the line one more time. Sprint one more time, Drew.
Get on the floor.
I'm stopping.
Bryan, here's the thing. I don't care what conference it is, what tournament it is, especially let's stay with our conferences. Only one team per sport is going to get the NC2A experience, correct? And that's the tournament winner.
Correct.
But we can offer a championship experience to all 12 teams of the SWAC, to all 8 teams of the BIAC, to all 13 teams of the CIAA, and to all 15 teams of the SIAC by inviting them to our conference tournament and us putting on a quality tournament to make sure all of our student athletes get a championship experience.
I'm going to counter you. I'm going to counter that. That sounds great, Drew. That sounds great. If you were selling that to an elementary school girl, that sounds great. Hey, young lady, you get a chance to be. I'm going to tell you the reality. Drew, you're going to play your last game on a Thursday. Then you're going to fly to some city for the tournament on Saturday night.
Probably have to. You probably no later than Monday because you're probably going to be playing Tuesday with the extra day.
Okay, so you're flying. You fly in on Monday. You get there Tuesday. Guess what, Drew? You lose the first game on Tuesday night. Now you're flying out of there Wednesday morning. How was that experience for you, Drew? How was that experience?
I guarantee you they won't be going home on Wednesday. Bryan, they ain't going home on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh shoot! If they're not, you don't fly
because
your school paying for extra hotel rooms.
You know why they are?
Why?
Because the hotel's gonna put a minimum on them for 2 or 3 nights.
I'm there Monday night. I'm there Tuesday night. We fly out
Wednesday night. They probably gonna have them stay there Wednesday. Hotel's gonna put a minimum on them. It's what they do.
You're dreaming.
It's what they do during these tournaments. It's what these hotels do, especially during the middle of the week when the hotels are empty.
All right.
They'll put a 3-day minimum on them. Now, the one thing that I do think that sucks about this, and this is just about the tournament in general when it comes to SWAC and BIAC. The SWAC and the BIAC tournament tend to occur during spring break. And I've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball athletes do not get breaks that even athletes in other sports will get. If you have a fall break usually occurs right about the start of official basketball practice. Ain't going home. You might get 2 days off. You might get a weekend. You might get a weekend. Thanksgiving. Either you're playing over Thanksgiving or you're getting ready to play as soon as you come out of Thanksgiving. Ain't going too far. Christmas, we gonna give you a couple of days, but you got to come back for Christmas and get ready because conference season begins right after Christmas. And spring break. Well, the basketball tournament is doing spring break on the Division I level. And if you're on the Division II or the NAIA level and you win your conference tournament, guess when the nationals start? During spring break.
Yes, Dr. Cavill. That's exactly what I want to see happen. Go to the Ivy League model. But anyway, look, I'm going to use that last team that you just said, Mississippi Valley State, right? They are the 12th seed. Mississippi Valley State ended what would have been a record-breaking season of futility on February 26th at home against Prairie View in a 57-51 win, Drew. They were 1-15. That made them 1-15. But guess what, Drew? They were already out of the tournament. And guess where they were always? They were also on spring break mentally. March 2nd, they lose to UAPB by 9. March 7th, they lost to Alcorn State by 3. Oh, now we got to – and guess what? March 9th, they lose to Jackson. All 3 road games, they lost by 1. They were on spring break. Now, I'm sure those kids fought hard in those last 2 games, just to end the season on a positive note against Mississippi rivals. Note, Mississippi rivals, those last 2 games, right? They fought hard. But guess what, Drew? March 9th, that season ended on March 9th. Guess where them kids were on March 10th? Gone. They were gone to Gulfport, Mississippi. They were on spring break. Now you telling me I got to turn around and go on a conference tournament after a 1-17 season? Student athlete experience. Okay. Student athlete experience. I mean, let them kids go on spring break. That's the student athlete experience. Like you just said, them kids they sacrificed Thanksgiving, sacrificed Christmas break, the New Year,
fall break,
Valentine's Day. Man, let them kids go on spring break.
King Day.
King Day, right. Man, them kids didn't have no break. Let them kids go on spring break. The last 2 teams. Anyway, let's stop. Let's go to some more news and notes after the commercial break. Good points though, Drew. I'm just playing I'm playing Grinch right now here on the last day of the month. But I do feel what I feel though, seriously. And I added, I probably caked it on a little bit. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Coach Green. I appreciate somebody having my back.
Okay. Okay. As a teacher and educator, you ask them that. Don't ask them that in a group. That's all I'm gonna say. You ask them in a group, yeah, they're like, yeah, we want to play. Go ask them individually, and they'll tell you honestly individually. I don't know, Coach. It's been a long season, Coach. Been a long season. We done a lot of losing. You mean now we got to travel on the road and lose one more time? I'm sorry. Not buying. But I get it, though. I get it. All right. All right. We got all the comments in. Good stuff. Appreciate all the feedback. Let's come back with some other news and notes from the SWAC Media Day right after the commercial break. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. I'm Grumpy Fulford. That's A.D. Drew.
Working my black job.
Working on black. Do you got that video loaded yet?
Oh, you know I got it loaded, man.
Drop that video. Black jobs. I feel like we need a black job alert. Thought you had it queued up.
With the recent announcement of Black jobs being taken, here's a list of jobs for the Blacks. Job opening number 1 is stove light supervisor. This person is in charge of making sure that the stove light is on and if the bulbs need changing. This tradition is for us because it allows our ancestors to find and season our food in the middle of the night. Which brings us right on to job number 2. You need at least 15 years of training for a cast iron skillet trainer. This person is going to make sure that the cast iron skillet is passed down to the family member that knows how to cook, but also knows how to properly clean it. We will not be giving this to just anyone. Now, number 3 is very important. The spades project manager. Not only are they in charge of taking the tools out of the deck, they're also in charge of scoring and making sure nobody trains anyone on how to play spades, but the people that sit down know how to play. And where would we be without number 4? Number 4 is the t-shirt order director. This person is in charge of making sure all the t-shirts are ready for family reunion, all the t-shirts are ready for the homegoing, all the airbrushing is done, all the lettering is correct, and everybody has their $35 to $40 in on time. I see you, Tony. Now, the Kool-Aid is right up there with the macaroni and cheese master. We need 5 references. Do not play. And the homecoming shift lead will make sure we're licking up and at every event leading up to homecoming.
Amen. Amen. Drew, which job are you applying for?
I stopped drinking Kool-Aid a long time ago, so that was like that high school job, the Kool-Aid person. Spades, what was it called? The spades coordinator?
Spades project manager. Spades project
manager. I want to see somebody who's a spades project manager who's certified in bid whist and with a bid whist certification. They can command extra.
That is extra. That extra if doing that that is
extra. you can command top salary. But I don't know which one of those black jobs I would qualify for. Sometimes depending on where you live at, any of you be happy to have, my brother.
That light over the stove thing is real. I don't know why I do that. I do it on habit, Drew. I'm doing that and I try to tell myself it's because, if I get up in the middle of the night, I want to be able to see where I'm walking. I have no idea, Drew.
No, Brian.
It's just my mama did it, and we just used to do it. It's ingrained in me.
It's on in my kitchen right now.
Look, mine is too. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Woo,
but here's the one, Brian. The cast iron skillet coordinator. That's real in the black community.
That's real.
That's real because everybody don't know how to clean a cast iron skillet. No. Rule number 1. No steel wool.
Ooh, I made that mistake. That's how I knew I wasn't fit to be that guy. I made that mistake. I was like, ooh, what am I doing?
Exactly.
I wasn't cooking at that much anyway, so whatever.
How many of y'all wound up getting that cast iron skillet from Big Mama?
I wish. I think I don't know who has ours.
Or the question is, do Big Mama still got that same cast iron skillet that she used to pop you on the butt with every now and then?
Man, I don't know about you, Drew. I wasn't getting hit with no cast iron. I was quick enough. I was slow, but I was quick enough to move out the way from getting hit from a cast iron skillet. I don't know about you though. Tamara T. Wait a minute, there it is. Yes, indeed. All right, good stuff. It is, Drew. Hey, Frosty, another one keeping that. Shout out to everybody who keeps the stove light on. Shout out to everybody who still does that at night.
And the homecoming coordinator, mess up homecoming, you will get fired quick. You gotta have everything planned out for homecoming.
I got you. All right, let's get back to a couple other news and notes. Thank everybody for coming in and watching us. Please hit that thumbs up and the like button wherever you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook. If you're enjoying the show on Instagram Live or X, you can always come into the chat rooms on YouTube. Every now and then, I know you can leave chats on YouTube. or no, I mean Facebook, and sometimes you can. I know you can leave chats on X, and we'll get them, and as we see them, we'll load them in. But most of the conversation is on our YouTube and Facebook pages. So that's the Black College Sports Network at MyBCSN1 or BCSN Sports Wrap on Facebook. Or you can find us. The YouTube channel is at MyJBN Online on YouTube. Okay, SWAC spring meeting news. Of course, I don't know. Drew is very pro tournament expansion. I'm more so on the. I'm more the. Yeah, there. Drew is more like this. I'm kind of like, anyway. Okay. Also came out new scheduling format. Also, we talked about that for a long time. The new scheduling format is approved for next season. Women's basketball games will now be played on Thursdays and Sundays. These are league games. Whereas the men will play on Saturdays right after the women and on Mondays. So previously, the SWAC used to play all league games on Saturday and Monday. Note to that, unfortunately, the SWAC starts the season on a bad Saturday when most students aren't back. Shame. It's horrible because a lot of times your rival games end up being scheduled first.
About half of them are rival games.
About half of them are rival games, which is horrible. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So anybody who plays a rival game, Bethune, BCU,
FAMU,
what'd I say?
Bethune, BCU. FAMU, BCU.
Yeah, FAMU, BCU. Prairie View, Texas Southern, maybe. Alabama State, Alabama.
No, they don't.
I know
they don't play that. They don't play on that weekend.
But whoever,
I think Alcorn and Jackson Bay play that same weekend also.
Yeah. But anyway, it's no bueno, no good. SWAC, please, schedule makers, please take that into consideration. But anyway, so they used to play on Saturdays and Mondays.
Now, Brian. Now thinking about that before you go any further, considering that in 2025. New Year is on a Wednesday. And if you're starting with the Thursday, Saturday format, January 2nd is that first Thursday. Are we going to see games as early as January 2nd?
Ooh, that's a great question. You got to do the math and look at when the potential
a single women's game on January 2nd. That's what it would be if you did if you go with the traditional where they start on that first Saturday, which is the 4th, which would be a doubleheader.
Watch this, Drew. This is not uncommon. This is happening in some leagues. Play your conference first 2 conference games the first week of December. It's happening. There are leagues that are playing in December. That is, you still have students on campus. So you could get it and it opens it up. You can still play a non-conference game, maybe the first of the year until that first full week. But if I want to start it in December, Doc. I want to start it in December. Yeah.
So Brian,
start in December, first week in December, while
the first weekend in December when the SWAC championship football game is.
No,
the first weekend in December, which is when the SWAC football championship is. That's when you're saying to start it. That's the first weekend in December. The second weekend in December is the Celebration Bowl now. So when are you going to play in December, Brian?
Okay, so
think on that.
I am, and I'm going to say there's no perfect timing, Drew. It's not like we're not the only. Other schools, guess what, Drew? That only affects 2 schools. Actually, it affects 1 school, technically. It affects 1 home game. And that game could be played in the daytime, Drew. You can play that game in the daytime.
Which is the same time that the SWAC championship game is played and the Celebration Bowl.
The SWAC championship game in the evening?
No. Day game.
I don't know. Okay, so look, there's no perfect
Midday.
way to do it. Okay, so you're either going to lose attendance in December or you're going to lose attendance in the first week of January. When you want to lose attendance, Drew? When do you want to lose it? There's no perfect schedule scenario when you want to when you want to do absolutely nothing because of football. And again, SWAC championship game only affects 2 teams, and I'm going to argue it only affects 1 team because the home team. Very few road teams travel unless you get a close matchup like an Alcorn and Southern or Southern and Jackson State.
So imagine that home team actually has a home basketball game that day. Switch league basketball game.
Switch sites then.
But that's the team that you're only playing once on your schedule.
Jesus, Drew.
I'm just throwing out all these different scenarios.
I get it, but you can't get there's no perfect scenario. There's no perfect options, Drew. There's no perfect option. So let's deal in realities. There's no perfect option. But what I do know is bad. Let's talk about what we do know. We all, you tell me somebody that thinks differently. I haven't heard them playing that first conference rival game when students aren't on campus. Bad. That is a guarantee. That we do know. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so then let's figure out some other option then. Go play a non-rival game the first week. If that's the alternative.
Okay, I can go for that.
All right. Okay, so the league is going to expand again. Women's games are going to play it on Thursday. Saturday is a doubleheader day. Monday is strictly men. We've talked about this again on our network. Other folks inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Carlos Brown, they've all talked about it. Now that it's officially going to happen, Drew, what do you think is going to be the most interesting challenge about that scheduling? And I think the women, for me, I think the women having their own day with no men's follow-up is the interesting part of all this.
Number one, it's going to be interesting to see what time those single games start.
Yeah.
Obviously, every area local. If you're in a metro area, we'll say in Houston. Trying to think, we'll say in Jackson. Who else is in a local, a bigger market? Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably your 3 biggest markets. Those games are probably going to tend to start later in the day, those single games, because of traffic concerns.
What's later? Give me a time. Local time. 7?
Those games may start as late as 7 o'clock on a single game.
Okay. Local time.
Local time.
Yeah.
To allow fans to get there.
I think that's a reasonable time.
Right.
I don't think you need to start the games at 8 o'clock.
No.
7:30 would be the latest push.
Yeah.
I think 6:30. I think 6:30, 7 or 7:30.
I think 7:30 would be too late on a single.
You think 7:30 is too late
on a single game? Just on a single game. I'm talking about the men and the women. This is for men and women. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you.
Right.
Now, but though historically, men's games have been playing late on Mondays though. Yes. Because of television, they have been playing the 9 o'clock. Maybe somebody even started as late as 9:30.
And I'm talking non 4-letter network game when I'm making these, when I'm questioning this.
You're saying HBCU Go wouldn't ask anybody to play at 9:30?
No, I'm saying I'm not talking about in those situations. We know you got to move the game to whatever time they tell you for the network money. We understand that. Be it ESPN, be it HBCU Go. I'm just talking about it in general, the rule rather than the exception. So that's going to be one of the interesting things that's going to be going to see. Number 2 is the extra budget for operations. Just because you split that game, you're still playing the same number of games, but you're playing more dates. So now you have to pay your operation staff an additional day.
Yep.
It's not like you taking that day and cutting it in half. No, it's not.
But are those people being played by the hour though, Drew?
Even still, once you get me there, add the game onto the backside is not as tough as it is for me coming in to a singer. And I'll talk from somebody who had to pay table staff and other staff.
Mm-hmm.
A single game cost me X. If it was a double header, you didn't get 2 times X. You may have got, say, 1.5 times that you would have got for a single game, if I'm making sense. We'll just use simple dollars. I may pay you $100 for a single game. I may pay you $150 for a doubleheader. Since you are already there, your gas, your quote unquote gas has been taken care of and everything else.
So now are you making more money? 350 versus
300.
300. Yeah. So there's your expenses going up. Yeah.
So you just use that simple math. So you factor that over the 9 home games that you're gonna have. So it changes your equation. Weather. How is weather going to play a factor in it? Because half of our teams have to deal with weather factor, with snow. Alabama A&M has to deal with snow. UAPB has to deal with snow. So those are other things that you have to consider when doing this with this travel. Is class going to be affected? Because now for a Thursday game, you're talking your women's team leaving out on Wednesday, sometime Wednesday to get in time for a Thursday. So they're missing class Thursday and Friday. Your men's team, they were leaving Friday after class. They were missing class on Monday. They were back in class on Tuesday most of the time. So the women are going to potentially be out of class an extra day compared to the men. So
good points.
How is this going to affect things academically? So just a couple of things. But there is one thing I do want to note that was not mentioned when they was talking about their schedule after you rebut what I had to say.
I don't have much rebuttal. I mean, those are all valid points. I think I highlighted a question from Coach Green, where I was going to go. The question, he says, the question that should be asked is, what are you going to do to get students to come to the home games? And how do you get other athletes and other sports to attend those games? Great point, Coach. I think it also add in the community as well. This is an opportunity now when you're selling your season ticket packages. How do you price out the season ticket packages now? Do you still have a combination package? Do you still have, here's a thought. I just thought of this. You could have an all-inclusive package. You could create a Thursday and Monday package, or you could create a Saturday package that includes just Saturday games. I mean, I don't know. Why not? Give people more options.
Actually, options are good to a certain point. Give them options. Don't give them too many options. You don't want them to think too hard.
Right.
No, I'm just being real. You don't want them to think too hard.
Yeah. No. I get it. Now, a lot of schools now with our I don't know. I thought about this from a non-conference because so many HBCUs play road games, and you don't have
Division One on the Division One level.
Well, where I was going with this is double headers during the non-conference. And again, we're talking about the SWAC.
Hell, Brian, you're happy if you got a home game during the non-conference.
Well, hey, that's my point. And so this is why you can kind of do these packages, but you do have an opportunity now to create if you have the games early enough, 6:30, 7, can you get your community? Because 7 o'clock on a Thursday is still falls within a high school starting time. Like if you were to go to a high school basketball game in any community, it's most likely starting at 7 o'clock varsity.
The varsity boys game.
Right. Varsity, even varsity girls. Varsity girls, they start at 7. Okay.
7:30.
I don't know.
Depends on how many games are on tonight. That's why I say that.
All right. But 7 is your ideal. 7 usually is what you're trying. So if you have a game at 7 o'clock, you can still reach people within a reasonable time that people are used to. So can you reach out to your community? Can you do more in your community? I'm talking to SWAC schools, okay? Because this is right now. Can SWAC schools do more to get their community base to come on campus, on a Thursday night to watch the women play? And then, you sell them with the idea that, hey, we got a doubleheader coming up on Saturday. Come make sure to check out the men and the women, on Saturday. It'll be interesting to see how athletic departments attack the marketing aspect of this. That's what I'm kind of interested in. I think there are a lot of opportunities here, but one thing is you can't stay stagnant. You can't do what you've been doing, obviously, because it's a different environment. Yeah. I see Mike Reeves. Go ahead. Hold on. That's not what hold on. Go ahead. Mike says just offer weekend pass. Folks can attend any of the 3 days they wish. That's interesting. Here's Carlos. Great scenario here. If he's working till 4 or 5 p.m., I'm really running to get there for 7 p.m.
Well, you weren't coming to a game anyway, no matter if it was a doubleheader or not. In that scenario, Carlos.
Yeah, I mean,
see you on Saturday. See you on Saturday.
All right. Hey, how about this though? How many people do this? And this is if you live in an NBA city or even a major college basketball city, I'm curious, how many of you leave work and go home versus just leaving work and going to the stadium? I would not go home. Because if I go home, it's done. I'm the person that if I'm leaving work at 5 or 5:30, I'm usually going from work to
a bar around the corner.
Exactly.
And I'm going to the stadium.
Exactly.
Or the arena.
Yeah, unless you got a dog. Now, if you got to take a dog out, you're screwed because, the dog's not going to stay in the house. If you don't have anyone to take the dog out, you're screwed. I mean, I don't know how you do it, but just a thought.
Yeah. I did find it interesting though, Brian, because we did have some chatter about them cutting from 18 to 16 conference games, and that did not come out. So it looks like we're still going to remain with the 18 game schedule.
Thank God. Just don't do more. I mean, don't do less. How about you not play a conference tournament and then you add more games? Ooh, stop. Let me stop, Drew. Let me stop.
What else was in that press release?
Yeah, let me stop. Don't get me started. Okay. Then they shift over to football here, where in the sport of football, the conference office will provide cutting-edge technology via sideline tablets beginning this upcoming season. Teams will have the option of using tablets to view in-game video. Now, that's an interesting line. You have the option. Tablets can be distributed on the sideline, locker room, and coaches' booths to study the game broadcast feed, as well as camera angles from a team sideline end zone. The tablets can be viewed by all team personnel, but cannot connect to other devices. What other device might there be, Drew? I'm just curious about that one.
Like if you had a TV or some bigger screen over there on the sideline, how with your iPad you can project to your TV.
You cast to another.
Okay. You cast, yes.
Project larger. Okay, there you go. To other devices, project larger images or provide data analytics. Okay, so you're not getting any in-game data analytics.
Right. You're not getting the huddle drawings.
Yeah, you're not getting huddle drawings. Although, what if you were able to do that though? You just can't.
You could probably like with an iPad pen or something like that. You could probably do it, but you could not have it computer generated like you would do with a huddle program or something like that.
Okay, so here's my thing. Going back to the line, teams will have the option of using tablets to view in-game video. What if one? Now, I don't know why a team would not want to, but let's just say road team didn't want to use it. Does that mean the home team is prevented from using it to keep things fair? What if here's another scenario, Drew. Hold on. What if the tablet goes wonky and fails for one team, but is working for the other team?
All right, let me give you a couple things because I've dealt with this before. You have access to multiple tablets. There may or may not be a limit by
how many
SWAC as how many tablets you can have on the sideline. It didn't say that. There's probably some type of limit, 5, 6 tablets. You probably figure there's 2 of those tablets will be in the booth. One with the OC, one with the DC. Excuse me. And then the rest of them will be on the sideline. Number 2, you know what all that stuff is saying, Brian? You know where that feed is coming from?
The game, the actual broadcast.
No. What that really is doing, Brian? It is tapping into the feed that's going into the replay system.
Oh God!
It's taking the same angles that you would get from a replay system, or they may be limited to specific angles. And now you have access to the same information or to the same views that the replay officials would have, or that the game officials would have should they go to replay. That's all that's doing, Brian. It's just passing the technology on. It's nothing new that's going in because it's tapping into the replay system that the SWAC has already implemented. The only thing that you're doing is you're allowing access for both the home team and the visiting team into the current replay system.
Is this DVR technology that's being used?
No, it's what it is. The replay system, the one that I'm familiar with, that a lot of teams are using this on the collegiate level. It's you take the feed from the broadcast cameras, and basically you're splitting the feed. It's going to the broadcast camera, but it's also going into a secondary device that's recorded onto an iPad. That's recorded to the cloud for an iPad. Has its own separate Wi-Fi system and everything else, and you can go through that Wi-Fi pad and go through the plays and pull up that play. How did my safety get beat on that play? Oh, this is what they did. He got picked off on a pick route that the referee didn't call. So now you're able to see that in real time.
Yeah,
actually, JMac, I will say that JMac, most of these systems come with their own Wi-Fi system. It does not tap into.
I would hope so. That's
it does not tap into the stadium's Wi-Fi system. They have their own. They have their own intranet, not internet. Intranet that communicates with these systems. I am a little bit familiar with them. I've ran these systems before, and it's a job running them and making sure that system is up. But somebody getting paid to do it anyway.
I'm already, hold on. See, I got my notepad right here, Drew. I'm already writing my note here for Dr. McClellan at SWAC Media Day. Who is responsible for the training that is going to take place for this new technology that the football teams will get? Are the athletic departments at said school the same departments that have trouble streaming games? Are they responsible for showing the coaches?
Probably whoever's in charge of the replay, because it's going to tap into that. So it's going to be an offset of whoever's in charge of the replay system.
When does that person get to the stadium, Drew? What day? When's that? Is that same day training that's happening, Drew?
No, you go doing your fall scrimmages. doing those Saturday open scrimmages that you have to the public, you better be testing that system out then.
Again, all jotting down questions for Dr. McClellan at SWAC Media Day. Just jot that down, Drew. Make sure we ask that question.
And SWAC schools, if you're looking for a black person to do a black job with your replay, I got references.
Black job alert. Drew is available. Any SWAC school looking for a...
I just want to see who's going to create Black Indeed.
Are you going? No. Are you applying for the position? Are you looking to train the entire SWAC, Drew? Is that what you're looking to do here?
If the price is right.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Anything from this? You mentioned one note about the scheduling, the number of games that didn't get. Is there anything that you are surprised did not come out from the spring meetings that you had hoped would be talked about?
Where the tournament is going to be, the basketball tournament did not get announced yet. So
to be determined.
Yeah, are they still negotiating? What kind of posturing is going on with that? Because we've only heard two places.
Yeah,
that being the current site of Birmingham and possibly Atlanta. So what kind of posturing is going on with that? That's the only other, probably the only other big thing that I wish I would have heard coming out of that meeting that I did not hear.
Location, Drew. I think that is something that you're looking into. If you're, where in Atlanta would you have, if Atlanta becomes the spot? Are you looking
the G League / Dream Arena?
Okay. All right.
I mean, that's
logical, right?
I think it's 5,000, between 5,000 and 6,000 with its seats.
All right, got some NBA breaking news here for you, Drew. The Philadelphia 76ers and free agent center Andre Drummond have agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal. According to league sources to Hoops Hype, Drummond gets a player option year 2. Of course, Andre Drummond, former Pistons player, was a 2-time All-Star and a 4-time rebounding champion. So that'll be a great fill-in for that day or those games when Joel Embiid gets hurt, because he will get hurt. And so you got now a backup center. So kudos to the Sixers. I bet you thought I was going to say something about Paul George, right?
I was waiting on Clay.
Waiting.
I don't think Clay gonna happen tonight, though.
No. I think there's some serious debating, but we'll see. All right, here's another one. This one from Shams. Kevin Porter Jr. has agreed to a 2-year deal with the LA Clippers, including a player option. After 6 weeks of strong play in Greece in April and May, Porter had multiple NBA suitors and chose the Clippers. If you're like Kevin Porter Jr., like who? All right. Anyway. All right. Let's take a break and come back. We can go one of two options, Drew. We can catch back up with our top 10 football games of the year, because we Jamie and I did that last year. We didn't get a chance to hear yours. Or we come back and we can talk about that other big story that happened over the past week, and that was Florida A&M's Board of Trustees making the, in my opinion, awful decision to not approve the contract of the men's basketball coach. Where would you like to go, Drew? Or you know what? Save it for after the break, and you can tell us then.
Okay.
It's called a tease, Drew. It's called a tease.
Called professional tease.
Professional tease. Keyword professional. We are broadcast professionals here. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College.
Is that a black job, Brian?
That is a black job on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford, A.D. Drew here, live on the last day of June. We're at the midway point of 2024, Drew. Amazing that we have made it this far. Now we end up going on the 6 months downhill journey towards Christmas and New Year. I'm sorry. See, I didn't want to do all that, but you know.
Man, can we get to their holiday first, Bryan?
Can we get to the 4th of July?
That's like I said. Can we get to their holiday first?
America's Independence Day, Drew.
Was you free? Was you free in 1776? Was your people free?
I was free on July 4th, 1974. I was free, free from the womb. And that's all I can take care of. Control what you can control, Drew, as a wise man once told me. So anyway, all right, let's see. I have a question. Which school in D2 will make the announcement this July and go,
wait a minute. Now there is a school that has said on July 12th that they're going to be making a special announcement.
What school said that?
EWU is on. They tweeted it out last week. I believe it's on July. It's the day after. Let me look at my calendar because I've got it. Is
so much happening at Edward Waters, man. Comings and goings. Yeah, I don't even want to try to guess what that might be.
July 11th. Edward Waters has a press conference at, I believe, at 2:00 Eastern on July 11th.
That's a good one. I don't even want to try to guess. I'm not even going to travel down that road.
I'm not going to put those two together. But I do know that Edward Waters is making it. Has a press conference call for July 11th at, I believe, at 2:00 Eastern.
Okay.
Now, Coach Green, if you got something that needs to be embargoed, you can hit me up privately and let me know. It will not be released.
Okay. I asked Drew the question at the last break where we could go right or left. We could go to top 10 HBCU football games to the right. We could talk about boards and their decision making and their involvement in athletics going left. Which way do you want to go, Drew? Right or left?
I'm right-handed. Let's go right.
All right. Drew wants to go right. So we'll talk HBCU football games of the year, top 10 games of the year. Let's kind of recap. Jamie, shout out to Jamie Walker. Hopefully you guys caught our show last week. We did our top 10 games of the year. There you can see Jamie's games. Between Jamie and myself, we were simpatico on 3 games. And funny, a lot of the games on Jamie's list were games that I was heavy in consideration of. So just take note of that, Drew, before you comment, because I'm curious at how many games from Jamie and my list are on your list. And then my list consisted of, now the games in yellow were games that involved non-HBCUs, and I did that because after I kind of sneaked and saw what Jamie's list was, I realized he did only HBCU games. So, but I did highlight in yellow non-HBCU games that I'm big on because of the potential upset. I think Jacksonville beating UL Monroe is in play, and I'm curious to see what Fayetteville State does at Valdosta. I think that is an upset in play as well. But the games that Jamie and I are simpatico on are the Orange Blossom Classic, the FAMU at Jackson State game on October 19th, and I think we were both on the Howard, North Carolina Central game on November 16th. So beginning of the season, middle of the season, end of the season for us. All right. First off, any comments on my and Jamie's top 10 games of the year, Drew?
No, I think you guys did a good job highlighting games. And with my list, when you bring it up, I tried, since I had the benefit of seeing you two guys' list, I tried to pick games that you two guys did not pick, but were still games of the year. There is one game that is constant on all 3 of our lists, though.
Ooh, okay. Let me see if I can figure out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is A.D. Drew's top 10 HBCU football games of the year. Let me see if I can spot it. There it is. I see it. All right. So Drew, you want me to run down your games and you comment, or you just kind of just go for it?
You run them down. I'll throw in my 2 cents.
All right. The 31st of August, week 1, Morgan State, the former MEAC opponents, Morgan State traveling to Hampton on the 31st. That's week 1.
Yeah, I like this game. Morgan should have one of the top defenses going up against who a lot of people and Chris Zealous think may be the best quarterback in HBCU football right now. So that's why that game particularly intrigues me, and this being year 3 for Damon Wilson. Yeah, it's time to start putting up some numbers.
Okay. September 1st, that's also part of week 1, but that's a Sunday game in the Black College Football Hall of Fame, I believe, in Canton, Ohio. Virginia State at Benedict.
Well, this game intrigues me. What does Benedict have left over? 2 undefeated regular seasons. Coach is gone. A lot of the key players have either graduated or have gone an hour down the road to Orangeburg. So what does Benedict have left over against Virginia State, a team that teams expect to be in contention in the CIAA. So it'll be a good measuring stick for both of these teams.
All right. I agree with you there. I agree with you. Debut of Ron Dickerson Jr. over at Benedict. Okay. September 7th, Tuskegee at Grambling. If we're saying HBCU blue blood football programs, this is two of them. What's the historical note about these two teams? I feel like these two teams don't play often. It's probably been a century, maybe.
I don't know. I would have to go back and check the history to see when the last time that these two teams have played. But I can guarantee you, they have not played in this century against each other.
Okay, there you go.
I know that much. They have not played each other. So yeah, you're talking about the winningest HBCU in Tuskegee going up against Grambling, who has the most Black College national championships. So, and then you're talking about two of the top 5 winningest HBCUs in history going up against each other.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Ooh, breaking news. I'll wait till after we do this. That's big. Blue Jacket for life. Really? Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay. Anyway, September 14th, Clark Atlanta traveling down south to Florida Memorial. At Florida, Georgia Classic, something to that effect. What do you think about that one? Why that one?
Clark Atlanta team, obviously we know what they got from Allen as far as head coach and Teddy Keaton and quarterback Eric Wright. And Florida Memorial was one of the most improved teams in Black college football last year, going from, I believe, either 1 or 2 wins to 6 wins last year. So, and the fact that the D2 is traveling to the NAIA makes this one even more intriguing for me.
All righty. Back to Tuskegee again, huh? Okay, another game with Tuskegee. Tuskegee traveling to Edward Waters September 28th.
Do I need to say anything about that game?
No, a great game.
That was the game. That was the game Edward Waters won on the Hail Mary last year on Tuskegee's homecoming. Yeah, the get back game.
It went back and forth though. Remember, Tuskegee actually snatched the lead from Edward Waters, and we thought they had won the game in the final minute. Was it less than a minute something to like go in that game? Something like that.
Yeah. So that's why that game is on the.
That was a good game a year ago. I think Jamie had that game on his. Also, that same weekend, CIAA matchup, Fayetteville State at Virginia State. Not too often do you get former South Division champ playing one of the top 2 teams and former Northern Division opponent, but we get a good matchup, Fayetteville State at Virginia State. Is this a championship preview possible?
Well, I think this is playing for one of the two two spots.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody expects Union to be in one of those top 2 spots. This could be an elimination game for their second spot.
Good point. Great point. Okay, the following week, heading into October, the first weekend of October, Florida A&M traveling to Alabama State. It's Alabama State's homecoming. I can confirm that the Marching 100 will be in attendance, and this was a great game when it was at Alabama State 2 years ago.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be your 1-2 as far as predicted order to finish in the SWAC East. So this is going to be an important game as far as determining the SWAC race and any possible separation between those two.
Oh, you think these are the 2 teams that are going to be 1-2 at SWAC Media Day?
I don't see why not.
Talk to them people
in the East. I
talk
think
to
this
them
would be
people
one
in Jackson. Hey, them people in Jackson, there's already stuff floating around the internet talking about predicted orders and strength of schedules, and a lot of people seem to think Jackson State. Well, anyway, if it's not that weekend, Drew, 2 weeks later, FAMU travels again. After a bye week, they travel to another
Jackson State.
East
Right.
opponent.
So if it's not their first game, it's going to be this game that's going to determine the SWAC East.
And all three of us
at Jackson State
have this game. Sorry.
Yeah, at Jackson State with their running back who's being touted for the Heisman. So let's see. I don't know what they were, dark cloud before. I don't know what this defense is going to be called.
It's still the dark cloud. It's still the dark cloud defense.
Let's see where this turns out. So those 2 weeks for FAMU are going to, those 2 weeks for FAMU are going to determine where they finish in the East. And obviously the Jackson State, Alabama State is going to help determine that between those two teams.
So, I agree with you, Mr. Campbell. Someone may have to pony up some money to get the 100 there, because right now the 100 is not planning on traveling to this game. So I'm just saying that right now it's not on the schedule, but money talks and things could change. So right now, the FAMU at Jackson State game is our BCSN Sports Wrap game of the year. Number one game that we are all looking forward to.
Preseason. Because it may change once we get to playing. So we'll put that preseason.
You really think it would change? Do you?
One of these teams could lay an egg, Brian.
Okay.
I'm just being real. One of these teams could lay an egg. So we'll say preseason.
Okay. You want to? All right, then. Okay. November 9th, Albany State versus Fort Valley State. Let me guess. SIAC championship preview?
Either that or an elimination game.
Okay. All right. Then the last week of the season, Alcorn State at Prairie View. Let me guess. A game that may decide who goes to the SWAC championship game out of the West.
You hit that one on the head.
That will be good. Now you even have a bonus game in there, a personal bonus game, huh? What's up with that? November 2nd.
Well, last year, Thomas almost upset Florida Memorial and knocked them out of contention for playing for the Sun Conference Championship the following week. Now, Florida Memorial did come back and win that game. But, for me, that game is personal. I hope Florida Memorial whooped Thomas's ass. Me being a former Thomas University employee.
Oh, nothing personal.
Oh, very personal. Very personal.
All right.
I love the coaching staff at Thomas, good friends of mine, but you're going to have to take that L.
All right. Okay. So good stuff, Drew. Good list. I think all of these games I had spotlighted. So coming up a little bit later in the year, we will give our what we call our HBCU football fantasy road trip. Like if we had an unlimited budget and could travel to a different game every weekend, we will give you and not repeat. One game, one location, can't repeat. We can't repeat the location. Now, you might get similar teams, but we can't repeat the location. We're going to break that down. Me, AD.
Question about that, Brian. I do have a question.
Yeah.
Because there are about 3 different games in Mobile.
No.
Can we go to Mobile? You can only go to one game in Mobile.
One location at one time during the season.
Okay. Even though you got 3 different teams playing.
Yep.
3 different sets of teams playing at Mobile.
Exactly. What's up with Mobile getting all these games, man?
They must got some cash to give to these teams.
I guess so.
Yeah. Hey, Road Dog need to sponsor that that road trip. He need to be the official sponsor of that road trip.
To where?
No, just us talking about it.
The Jackson game?
No. The will we do the segment on the road trip?
Okay. All right. I don't know how. Okay. I'm all ears. I'm all ears. I'm all ears on how we do that. Okay, let me give you some NBA breaking news. Got another one. This one caught me, and I think who put this in there? Blue Jacket for Life dropped this in the chat. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, intends to sign a 3-year, $66 million deal with the Orlando Magic. Sources tell Shams Charania of The Athletic. Massive pickup for the rising Magic, acquiring the starting shooting guard of 2 NBA title championship teams. I think that eliminates Klay Thompson from potentially going to the Magic. And I think it opens it up now for Klay to go somewhere else, like the Lakers.
Dallas, he's got Dallas and the Lakers still out there.
Is Dallas one of the teams on the list?
Yes. That's why they traded Tim Hardaway Jr. Cap space.
Where did they trade him to? He
Detroit.
Well, wasteland. He go get some minutes, but it's a wasteland in Detroit anyway.
Right. But they did that to free up the cap space.
Right. Looks like the 3rd year is a player option for KCP, according to Shams Charania. All right. I'm trying to just quickly go through and see. I know you're interested. Here's another one from Shams. The Clippers are actively working on trades to move Russell Westbrook. Now, where would Russell Westbrook go?
Send him to Detroit.
Come on, he deserves better than that. Doesn't he?
He could average another triple-double.
Oh, see, you said that with so much hate and malice in your heart. All right.
No, he probably wouldn't get a triple-double. I don't know if he would get the assist.
Wow. Stop. No, I agree right there. Keith, I love this one right here.
Go ahead.
Am I hitting the button at the same time, Drew?
Yeah,
Who's doing it?
At the
Am I
same time.
doing it, or you do it then?
Go ahead.
You do it. Nope, you do it. Russ in Miami. Ooh. That would be interesting. The Nuggets are interested in Westbrook, huh? Look at that. Okay. I mean, can you get Westbrook to buy into coming off the bench? That's the question.
Isn't that what he's doing in L.A.?
Well, I think, but he also
coming off behind Harden.
He had because when you've got 3 other all-stars and 2 of them play a similar position, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, but I can't see Westbrook saying somebody's better than him on the Miami Heat other than Jimmy Butler. I don't think his ego would buy into that.
I don't think those personalities would go together though.
Oh, I disagree. I think Butler's a winner. He respects winners. He respects attitude and winning. I think
where you gonna get your shooting? You put Butler and Westbrook in the same backcourt. Where you gonna get your shooting from?
Someone needs to go back and tell Russell Westbrook to go back to the mid-range game.
Both of them are slashers.
Hey, go back. No, hey, if you can get Russell to go back to shooting mid-range, I know the NBA is not a mid-range game because they've said that for whatever reason, but Westbrook had a good mid-range shot. It's trying to shoot from deep that is bad. He is bad at shooting from deep. But mid-range, he had a good mid-range game. All right. Coming back to some HBCU talk. Now, before we go left, one of the things I wanted to mention, Drew, media days are coming up. We know all the dates for media days. July 10th, you have the SIAC first. July 16th, you have the SWAC. July 17th, you have the CIAA. And then July 23rd, you have the MEAC. Okay, so all within a 2-week span, you get all the media days. So I wanted to start breaking down and looking at head coaches of these football teams in each conference. So this week, We're going to start with the SIAC, Drew, since the SIAC is first. Okay. Yeah. Mike, always playing it. Love it. Okay. So here's what's interesting on first glance, Drew. SIAC football. And I'm going to loosely compare it to the CIAA, the two Division II conferences, but we'll go in depth on the CIAA next week. But strictly talking about the CIAA or SIAC.
SIAC.
Off the cuff, can you think of how many first year coaches are? And I'm talking first year at their school. How many first year coaches are there at their school? Any guesses?
I see you got both Atlanta schools. Allen.
Ding.
Allen would be one. Both of the schools in Columbia. That's Benedict and Allen.
There you go. Ding, ding. And both in Atlanta.
Yeah. Is that all of them?
That's all of them. Yeah, that's 4.
Okay.
That's 4.
Yeah.
Looking at the 4 first-year head coaches, there's only one that is a first-time coach. And that is Terrence Mathis, former NFL wide receiver with the Atlanta Falcons, is now the head coach of the Morehouse Maroon Tigers. First-year head coach. Now, the other 3 first-time head coaches at their institution are not, they aren't new to
rookie head coaches.
They aren't rookie head coaches. Okay. You've got from left to right, you've got Cedric Pearl at Allen University. He first year at Allen, but this will be his 7th year as a head coach. He previously, of course, was at Central State from 2014 to 2019. Had a career record of 19-41 with an 11-23 conference record. The man in the middle is Ron Dickerson Jr. First year at Benedict University, but his third year as a head coach. He previously was at Gardner Webb, which I think is was in the OVC maybe, from 2011 to 2012. He has a career record of 7-15. And then the man to the right is in his first year at Clark Atlanta, but his 11th year as a head college coach. That's Teddy Keaton. Teddy, of course, was recently at Allen University last year, has a career record of 45-54 with a 21-25 record in the SIAC. So first question for you, Drew, with our first-time coaches, which coach is most likely to have either the best season, or if you want to rephrase it and say the biggest turnaround for his program? Because it's kind of hard what Dickerson's walking into to duplicate perfection. So that's why I kind of phrased it that way.
Definitely Teddy Keaton.
Okay.
Allen finished just outside the money last year in the SIAC. Allen was much improved 2 years ago. People slept on Allen 2 years ago. They were much improved 2 years ago. Injuries derailed them 2 years ago. And a lot of the eligible players that were at Allen came over to Clark Atlanta. So
including
conference player of the year.
Yeah.
Right. I think
even though Clark was 0-10, and I think the year before they were 1-9. So that's one win in the past 20 games over the last 2 years. You have enough belief.
Hey, Brian, you may come on mic for saying this. I don't hear Clark complaining about roster churning. I'm sorry.
What's the ceiling? What's the ceiling for or maybe I should better say, what's the floor for Atlanta for Clark?
Without looking deep at the schedule, anything less than 500 is going to be a disappointment at Clark.
Really?
Yes.
Less than 500.
Less than 500.
5-5, everybody's happy.
I mean, compared to what they did the last decade, hell yeah.
I think 4-6, and you guys ought to be Atlanta better be happy as hell at 4-6 even. Just kind of looking at the non-conference for Clark. They play at Florida Memorial and at Bethune-Cookman. That's
they should go that should be 1-1 non-conference.
Ooh. You giving them a win over Bethune like that?
Oh, Florida Memorial.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
All right.
You gonna be messy.
Yeah, I am. Okay. Now we get into a large cluster of second and third year coaches within the SIAC. So second and third year coaches range like this. In their second year, you got Quinn Gray at Albany State, Felton Huggins at Kentucky State, Aaron James at Tuskegee. As you can see, James had the best overall record of the three, 7-4, but he tied Quinn Gray in terms of conference records, 6-2.
And Quinn Gray got to the championship game.
Yeah, great point. In their third year, interesting group of guys here. You've got Kevin Porter at Central State. In the last 2 seasons at Central State, you can see he went 8-12, 6-9 in conference play. But of course, he has a good history based on his time at Fort Valley State. You've got Sean Gibbs, speaking of Fort Valley State, who has the most impressive record of pretty much anybody on this page, as he has gone 16-5 over his 2 seasons, 11-4 in conference play. Sam Shade at Miles turned around a bad first year to have a very good second year. 8-12 overall, 7-8 in conference play. And then Aaron Kelton at Savannah State. Last 2 seasons, 7-13, 4-11 overall, 31-62 in the career for Aaron Kelton. Okay. So, Drew, when we look at this group of second and third year coaches, I think you see there's a lot of optimism for Fort Valley State based on the career of Sean Gibbs. But who else out of this coaching group? I always hate to say, I don't want to use the cliche hot seat, but is there any expectations or any performance that might draw dismay by alumni basis from anybody on this page?
Honestly, nah. Unless somebody just goes over and has discontent within the program, I don't think anybody's job is visibly on the line as of right now. This is not a must-win season for anybody. Because when you look at especially those year 2 coaches, are safe. Those year 3 coaches, when you look at both Porter, actually everybody not named Sean Gibbs on those year 3 coaches, they all took those jobs in some very unique situations where year 1 essentially was a throwaway year. Porter and Kelton took their jobs late, didn't really have a chance to recruit. Sam Shade, everybody that Coach Reginald Ruffin had went over to Tuskegee, so Sam Shade had nothing. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at that 7-8 record where he only had 1 win the first year.
Right.
So he's trending in the right direction. And this is a total sidebar. I don't know if anybody's been following this like I have. Miles and Alabama A&M are both trying to buy the Birmingham Southern property there in Birmingham, Alabama. Alabama A&M to open up a satellite school, kind of like what Southern is, with Southern New Orleans,
Like
Southern Baton Rouge, or Southern Shreveport, trying to open up a second school. Miles to basically move from Fairfield into Birmingham. People in Birmingham do not want to let that property just sit because it would destroy property value if that large of a property is just sitting in and vacant. But if Miles is able to get that Birmingham Southern property, you're talking about an athletic program with those facilities that will go to another level. Keep an eye on that.
What's the distance in travel between Miles and that Birmingham? Well, you said it was Birmingham Southern?
Birmingham Southern. Maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
Matter of fact, if you have ever been to the to the Bill Harris Arena, it's where they held the SWAC indoor track championships. It's where they hold the formerly held the SIAC basketball tournament. And at one point in time, they held the SWAC tournament there before they moved it over to Bartow Arena. But that school that you pass up on the hill on the right is Birmingham Southern. So just so people who've been in that area know exactly where it is. So whoever gets that property is going to be set. But I hope it's Miles. No offense to Alabama A&M, because they're landlocked over there in Fairfield. This will give them the room for expansion to move all of their facilities over there to Birmingham Southern.
So you think everything you think there's enough over there?
Oh, you leave Fairfield and move and transition over there within a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they have all the athletic facilities. Matter of fact, they have some dormant athletic facilities because Birmingham Southern has sports that Miles doesn't have, such as soccer. I'll just throw that one out there.
Okay. What Birmingham Southern, when they played, they were what division?
D3.
Okay, but still had nice facilities, huh?
Oh, they facilities put Miles to shame. And honestly, with those facilities, they would rank in the upper third of SIAC schools with facilities. Let's see. Savannah State would be ahead of them because Savannah State used to have Division I facilities.
Albany State would be ahead of them.
Albany State, possibly. Albany State and Fort Valley, because they are dual facilities. Nobody's football stadium is going to top Benedict. Okay, Benedict has the #1 football stadium, but they definitely would be up there. Probably right there in that group of those three schools.
Blue Jacket for Life says Aaron Kelton on the hot seat. He has to find a quarterback. Interesting.
This is what I'm going to say about Savannah State. Given Savannah State's financial situation, how long of a contract did he sign when he came in?
Most people usually sign
if he signed a 4-year, he'll be there another year.
No, I don't think
Savannah. And the reason I say that, Savannah State would not buy out the contract, would not let him go before their contract expires. Savannah State cannot be in that situation. They would let the contract expire. If this is year 3 of the contract, yeah, he may be on the hot seat.
Okay.
If he's got a 4-year, he's got another year.
So obviously, based on the numbers that I proposed here,
That's all 13 schools, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's only 11. That leaves
11?
2. That leaves 2 senior. It's
Toriano Morgan.
Literally, when I say senior, we're talking as in going into their 4th year as the head coach. 2
Toriano
gentlemen.
Morgan is one. And
the other?
I don't think I just say Lane. Byron Brown.
That's it.
Yeah.
These are your senior members of the SIAC. Senior head coaches: Toriano Morgan at Edward Waters, career 15-17, 9-6 overall. And Byron Brown of Lane, 13-17 overall, 9-11. That's a little shocking, right? Neither team has technically been in the running for a conference title.
Edward Waters was good until the last 2 weeks last year.
Okay, they weren't. They were in the running in the last 2 weeks of the season. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
And if you're looking at it, Edward Waters is trending up. Lane is slightly trending down, because Lane about 2-3 years ago, was one of the top teams in the West, and they held steady. Now they regress slightly.
Was it 1 or 2 years ago when they beat Tennessee State for their homecoming? What was that?
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. All right. So there you see our seat. Now, again, only 4 years. Your senior most head coaches have only been this going into their fourth year. And I think fourth year means this is post-COVID. Fourth year is post-COVID year, because it was 21.
22, 23, and 24.
Yeah, 21.
So nobody had a job pre-COVID.
Correct. There you go.
Or during COVID.
Or during COVID, right. So what do you make of, just in general, 13 head coaches in the SIAC? Nobody had a job prior to COVID. And your most senior coaches now, again, at their current school, is 4 years.
Brian, that just shows the changing landscape of college athletics. I mean, we've had NIL and the portal come in since COVID. A lot of those old school coaches have decided they don't want to deal with it in general. And if you look at it, if you go back and look at those pictures of those guys, all those people are young, Brian.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Again, I don't think anybody, how many people on there are over 50?
Well,
one, maybe two.
Yeah, your most senior people are Teddy Keaton, who has had 11 years of college head coaching experience, and Aaron Kelton, also with 11. And then you had Kevin Porter. But Kevin Porter, I mean, he's about the same age as us. So I mean, Kevin Porter is not.
That's what I'm saying. We're at the point now. College athletics is starting to become a young man's game.
Young, under 50, under 45,
under 50.
I'm also interested in second, in terms of guys who, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 5 coaches are in their second head coaching job, second or more. Only 5 coaches.
A young man's game.
Young man's game. Well said. Well said. So we'll break down some more of the head coaches next week. We'll look into the CIAA, which is on an entirely different spectrum. When I did the math here, now, of course, there's only 11 members in the CIAA playing football this year, because St. Augustine will not have a football team. But I think you'll see a stark difference in the CIAA football coaches, where while they too only have one coach coaching in his very first year as a head coach, they have much more experienced coaches, and especially much more experienced coaches at their current school.
I don't know if Steve Gaither is still watching, but Steve, if you're available next week, we need to get you on for that segment.
Yeah. Okay. We'll reach out to Steve and invite him on. That'll be good, because there's some interesting interesting coaches in the CIAA. So we'll talk about that again next week. All right, we're gonna take a short break because coming up, we're gonna finally have one final discussion, one last segment.
There's always something going on in Tallahassee.
We're gonna talk about board of trustees, board of trusting. Ooh, I said it. Their athletic administrators and allowing them to do their jobs. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Looking for the latest information on Southern University Sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum designed for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan, A.D., A.D. somewhere. I know he'll be here in a minute. I want to encourage you, hit the thumbs up and the like button. However you're watching the show, if you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you are subscribed to our channels there. And if you're on Facebook, hit that like button if you would. Encourage all of you after this show, all of our shows are available on the BCSN Pod Zone. For those of you who like to stream podcasts, you can do all of that via the BCSN Pod Zone on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcasts, everywhere you listen to podcasts. download and subscribe BCSN Pod Zone. Want to make a couple of mention here before we get going here. Obviously, the U.S. Olympic trials are going on. Thought we'd take a second to shout out a few people who had some good performances, as I'm seeing happening today. This is happening today, part of the track and field trials.
Last day of the trials.
Yeah, today's the last day of the trials. Johnson C. Smith alum Danielle Williams ran a 12.53 in the 100-meter hurdles, which was second fastest, and that is going to send Danielle to Paris for the Olympics. So congratulations to Danielle. Also competing today, Caleb Snowden of UAPB in the high jump. And I'm looking for, I saw a tweet from Coach Carlos James that he made the Olympic team, but I'm looking here, I'm doing a quick glance here. Nope, he is. He is going to Paris. Reading this again, this is HBCU Premier Sports. Of course, also just mentioned, I saw the tweet here from Coach Carlos James. He cleared a 2.27, which was the second highest men's jump. So he is part of the U.S. Olympic team. Of course, Caleb Snowden of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So congratulations to him. Now, yesterday in the 200 meters, you had, I believe it's Jamarian Stubbs, if I said the name right, of Alabama State. In the 200 meter, he made it to the finals. What if you saw that race? I mean, there was clearly a distinction between the top five guys and the rest, the other three or four. But yeah, congratulations to Caleb for finishing as one of the top 8 runners. And of course, he's much younger than some of his competitors. So it just he's been one of the fastest runners in the SWAC, in Division I, in the NCAA. So I got a feeling we will. I don't know how many years of eligibility he has left at Alabama State. I think he was a junior, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. But we'll probably see him in 28.
Yes, yeah, in 2028, he might be one of those guys that has an opportunity. So,
and
did I miss
Sha'Carri Richardson? Sha'Carri Richardson finished just outside the money in the 200. She finished 4th in the 200.
Oh, she ran 200 as well.
Yes, trying to pull the double, the 100 and the 200. She finished 4th.
Okay. All righty. So okay, I think we covered all of the Olympic news. Don't see anybody else. So shout out to shout out there. All right. Well, Drew, final segment.
Damn you.
Well said. So just to recap from earlier this week, Monday, Florida A&M Board of Trustees had a
You want to back that up to Sunday, Brian, first? With the letter first? I think that sets it up better.
Well, I think it's important to know what was happening Wednesday, because I don't know if everyone knew about the letter, but the story did come out. There was a blog post. I think the story did come out, raising concerns from a local pastor who was also considered a prominent figure, but also has a son that is a walk-on, preferred walk-on, was a member of the
2014. Yes.
Right, under former coach
Robert McCollum.
Robert McCollum, thank you. Okay. So after some conversations with the new head coach, Patrick Creary II, this pastor had two different interactions with the coach. And I guess
one of them were positive in his eyes.
Yeah, and in his eyes, neither one was positive, or at least he didn't get the kind of answers that he had hoped to get. Proceeded to write a letter to Dr. Robinson, the president of Florida A&M, along with other members of the board of trustees, strategically timed on the eve of what was supposed to be a meeting with the athletic director by the board of trustees to just simply to ratify the contract,
the formality
of the basketball coach. That's what usually happens. Okay. So anytime a contract of I think more than $100,000
or more than 1 year.
More than one, okay, yeah, more than 1 year comes before, it has to get approved by the board of trustees. And most other contracts get approved. Why? Because you have an athletic director. This is the person that the athletic director hires. The contract was signed by the coach on April 17th and April 18th by the president. On April 18th, they acknowledged the hiring with the press conference. All right. So what ended up coming out of that letter was statements that the coach had dismissed or cut 16 players, only retaining 3. There were 19 players, by the way, that were on the roster from a year ago. Okay. Only 13 scholarships players. And so
which is the max. Which is the
max. You can have as many walk-ons as you want, I guess. I mean,
right.
you don't
13 is the max scholarship.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, previous coach had 19 guys, 19 walk-ons. But anyway, the essentially when you read the letter, Drew, you've read the letter, I read the letter. It was so heavy in it really came from a standpoint of, if you've dealt with a letter or read a letter, if you've been coaching long enough, you've obviously had an email or a letter from a parent, and that's what that was,
or a conversation.
Yeah, or a conversation. That's what that was. Your answer as a coach wasn't satisfying, so I'm going to go above you to your bosses, make your bosses aware of what's going on, and ask your bosses to look into what's happening. Okay.
Which unfortunately is something that happens more often than it should in this business.
Right. Now, also things that came into question by the board had to do with, the board seemed to not understand why the coach was on a voluntary status. You had a situation where you had one coach who was technically still under contract
until today. Today is the last day of his contract.
Today, exactly. But the business of building a basketball team has to happen, because the end of the semester was the end of April. The transfer portal for basketball was closing on March the 2nd. And you have to build a new team, get a new team, so that the 24th, which was also Monday, is the first day of summer session and also the first day of workouts for practically every Division I basketball program in the nation. Okay, so you got to have some players, right? You got to have some players to start the season with. So all of that is happening while this voluntary status is going on. That's not uncommon. It's no one would have looked at that and thought that that was uncommon. But apparently, because of this letter, or either lack of awareness, lack of knowledge, incompetence, I don't know, of your board of trustees, they seem to,
or They just don't trust the administration, president, athletic director.
Exactly. Any and all of those are in play and possible given the lack of mistrust happening right now by the Board of Trustees and the senior leadership, meaning Dr. Larry Robinson and your athletic director, Tiffany Dawn Sykes. So who gets penalized a little bit in this is the basketball coach who technically has not been paid even since he came on board in April, because there was supposed to be some funds going to him via the Booster Club to cover expenses over the 2-month period between the start of his contract and his hire date. That has not been paid to him, to my knowledge, still. And right now, doesn't have a contract. He's supposed to start getting paid Monday. Don't know if that's going to happen.
They're not going to pay him Monday because he does not have a signed contract. So we know that part is not going to happen.
Okay, so unless though there is a caveat there in which the president of the university can sign him to a 1-year contract, but that's a slippery slope. You may not want to go down because that too has its own thing. So anyway, all of this happened on Monday. Okay. If you caught our show Wednesday, the ONG Strike Zone, the first hour where Kelvin, myself, and Marcus shared our thoughts on the situation. And
Keith is stupid.
Stop it. I had to do some research, Drew. And it wasn't hard to do, very public research on this notion that the coach had dismissed, because one of the trustees, and which one was it? Let me see. Trustee Kelvin Lawson he basically raised the motion to table the conversation about the coach because more information is needed. He wanted to know, Drew, what happened to the 16 players that was in his letter. Now, again, mind you, the coach had been on the job since April 18th. The coach was in the same National Alumni Convention at the end of May that other trustee members were. But everyone wants to know what happened to the other 16 players. Well, in that meeting, AD Tiffany Dawn Sykes tried to explain to the trustees what happened. Of course, as has been said, they weren't really feeling her and weren't listening. So anyway, this is how we get this table discussion. Well, Drew, I went ahead and did the research and did this nice little summary. And shout out to any and all media entities and alums, rattlers who clipped this, used it, shared it, put it out there. Salute to you for helping to put out accurate information. To once again state, because people don't know this, Drew, you and I are involved in basketball. You and I are in athletics. We pay attention to these things. We talk about NCAA legislation all the time. We talk about all these things. You have probably way more friends in the coaching fraternity than I do. So we understand how this process works. But to a parent, to a lay person, to just average fans, they probably don't know that athletic scholarships are year by year, right? They think it's a 4-year contract. No, it's not. This isn't like high school where you cut guys. Every year you are, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing every year as a student athlete, you're at risk of not being brought back. Right?
Can I break that down even further? Can I break that down a little bit further?
But before I show, I'll come back to that in a second. Break that down.
Oh, you can leave that up there.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
As a grown man or woman, you feed your family based on the performance of a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds. If you don't hold them accountable and you don't get somebody who can do the job that you ask them to do, you can no longer feed your family. It's that simple as a coach at that level.
Mm-hmm.
This is why decisions have to be made. You have an exit interview with your players required. You have every coach has an exit interview with their players at the end of the season. That is when you inform the player, we're going to redo your scholarship. We're not going to redo your scholarship. If you're in an equivalency sport, we're going to increase the dollar amount that we give you to X. We're going to keep it the same, or we're going to cut it. So these conversations are had, mandated that these conversations must be had at the end of every season.
Great point. Great point.
So
a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
Coach Crary got there. One of the first things he had to do was meet with the currently rostered players.
Evaluate.
Now, I said currently, he had to evaluate them with them and beat them. Now, I said currently rostered players because as Bryan gets into this slide, there were not 19 players who were rostered.
Exactly.
Okay.
So as you can see, the second bullet point there, 6 players had entered the transfer portal before the announcement of the new coach, meaning after March 20th, which was the date in which Tiffany Dawn Sykes, the AD of Florida A&M, announced that Robert McCullum was not going to be brought back as the head coach. Literally within that week, 6 players were in the portal. All 6 players were contributors, key contributors to that team in terms of minutes and game played.
So let me simplify this. After going 6-23, 6 players, one for every win, ironically, said, hell no, I'm not coming back.
Well,
I'm trying to simplify this.
Okay.
I'm trying to get this into layman's terms.
I don't know about the hell now, but okay. Gotcha. Well said. Okay. After the announcement and the press conference announcement on April 18th, 2 more players would enter the portal. Okay. So that's 8 players.
He gonna cut me anyway. So let me go ahead and get out of here while I still got a chance.
And you know, the 2 of these players may have had conversations or they may have decided to move forward. Okay. Now, there was one player who did not have any eligibility remaining. He was graduating.
That was one of the 16. But that was one of the 16.
That was one of the 16. So, I mean, obviously now we're down to technically, I mean, let's do the math here. From 16 to 10 to 2, that's 8 minus 1, that's 7. Okay. Come to find out,
6, 8, 9. Yeah.
One of the 19 players, he had left the team during the season. He had already left the team.
So he cut himself.
He basically had made that decision to move forward and do something else. Yes.
All right, we at 10.
All right. Now, as you can see at the very top, the coach did make a decision to retain 4 players. 3 of them will be active players this upcoming season. 1 of them will be on scholarship, but won't be able to play due to an injury suffered last season. So he's keeping 4 scholarship players from last year. Okay.
Okay.
Believed originally to be only 3. That left 1 more player who still hasn't decided as of the time that this was all gathered, but again, that's a player who only played more than 5 games, and when I say 5 games, it's loosely, it's probably more like 11 that he actually played. And the rest of the players, the other 4 you see at the bottom, were all players had played less than 5 games or none, that were walk-ons, that essentially were told via email, probably be a conversation that there won't be a spot for you in the summer, but when the fall starts, when we have open tryouts, which most programs have open tryouts, right, Drew?
Yes.
That you will have an opportunity to try out. Okay.
So let me get this
say
right.
one more. Hold on. Let me say one more
Okay.
thing about the future roster. That 19 players, the AD had told the coach next year, only 16 players. Please limit it to 16. So that just leaves 13 scholarships and 3 walk-on potential spots.
Okay.
All right.
So just looking at this list, Brian, leave it up. Leave it up.
Oh, all right.
Leave it up. He only cut 4 players.
If you're using the word cut, okay.
Yes. He had 4 players that he told not to explore other options.
4 or 5.
Or they could walk on, because one was undecided, which means he extended the offer. He just had not.
He may not have extended the offer.
Oh, well, you say one undecided, so I'm assuming that
that's undecided as in the portal. There is no information on whether that young man had gone into the portal or not.
Okay, so 4, possibly 5 that have been released.
Again,
out of 16.
I hate using that word released, but go ahead.
Out of 16.
All right.
Bad information. But me being a numbers person, you can spend this any way that you want to. But roster turnover, the roster turned over 16 new players, or potentially turning over 16 new players.
Which, by the way, Drew, has happened each of the last 2 seasons, where at least 8 to 9 new players have come onto the team each of the last 2 seasons. Right? That's tough. So this isn't new. The roster, did the trustees ask last year, what happened to the guys who left? 2 years ago, did they ask, what happened to the guys who left? Do you think they asked that question?
Did they ask Coach Willie Simmons, what happened to the guys who left?
Probably not.
Did they ask James Cozy, what happened to the guys who left? For Patrick Crary, I think he is just a casualty in this war, in this battle between the BOT and the president / athletic director. And if you go back to Thursday's Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, you'll see a lot of my opinions on it, because I did express my thoughts on how the coach was caught in the middle on this past Thursday.
Yeah. So the big question that people have been wondering, because this is sort of following suit with what we saw in Texas at Texas Southern, where the athletic director presumably had planned on hiring Coach Fred McNair from it, to which the sad part about that one, Drew, Coach McNair, who it's believed that still had an offer on the table from Alcorn to return, was sort of playing the negotiating game, trying to get a little more from Alcorn because of what was believed to be on the table from Texas Southern. And Alcorn said, we can't match that. We're not going to match that. And it was believed that he was going to go to Texas Southern until their board jumped in and said, whoa, AD, we think we ought to interview some other people. We ought to open this up a little more. And you eventually did not see Fred McNair take the job at Texas Southern. Matter of fact, they ended up going with what many believe was possibly a third or fourth candidate from what was originally rumored, and that was Chris Dishman, former Houston Oiler, who will be in his first year as a head coach. So it brings up this question, Drew, about boards and their involvement in the coaching process. Now, I don't know if the relationship between the board at Texas Southern looks as bad as the relationship at Florida A&M, because they had recently given, I believe it Dr. Kevin Granger, they had just recently given him a contract extension.
They just did that this past week.
Oh, it just happened this week? Okay, I thought it happened prior to. Okay.
No, he just got a contract extension this past week.
So, but it just highlights this, and I'm going to give a shout out to Ken Rashad, HBCUsports.com, who eloquently, and I'm paraphrasing, stated that the board of trustees and the boards of these athletic universities need to get out the way and let the people that they hired do their job. Now, if you disapprove of the job that they are doing, you have plenty of measures and mechanisms that you can do to correct that.
Correct.
But you have jeopardized and put at risk a man with a family, and more importantly, 7 new student athletes who came to Florida A&M University, not because they saw Florida A&M, Drew. To my understanding, the 7 new players had never even taken a visit to the school.
Just on the coach.
They came to Florida A&M primarily because of the coach.
All right. I do have one correction I need to put out. Brian, Dr. Cavill just sent this to me directly. Dr. Granger had a contract increase before the hire, and then a contract extension was signed last week.
Okay. I knew something had happened prior to all of that. Okay.
Right. And he also sent me another question. Another confounding variable in the HBCUs / HWCUs and low major NCAA D1 programs is the option of paying for coaches paying for coaches contracts outside of the university, boosters, athletic foundation, university affiliated groups, etc., etc. Well, you see on a lot of the contracts for Alabama, for University of Florida, for University of Georgia,
Florida A&M.
Yeah, but most of those, but no, not where most of those contracts are paid for by outside organizations for a lot of their coaches.
No, not there's a cap.
Right, there's a cap that they can make
as a
like
state employee.
Right, like I think in Alabama it may be like 300,000 or something like that. I think
it's 200,000 in Florida, maybe something like that.
The rest of Nick Saban's $10 million came from outside organizations.
Right. And the rest of James Colsey's contract, which I think is somewhere between 250 and 275 per year, outside of that 200 is from outside entities like the booster or booster club or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say no. You again, there are a lot of people who have issues. Drew's going to show a great timeline of the issues that people have and why there are so many issues at Florida A&M and why there is so much I don't know if it's, you can say dislike, you can say distrust, whatever with the athletic director. But while she's on the job, in the role that she is in, she made the decision to hire a coach. Okay? Because that's what her job is. And while she has that job, you have to respect that. If you don't want her to do the job, you have measures and means and mechanisms to remove her from that role. I'm sure there is something. But while she's in the role and she's presenting a contract, which, by the way, Drew, is the almost blatant word-for-word contract, including the salary as the previous coach who signed 2 contracts in the post. Same salary. Maybe the perks are obviously different, the extras, but the base salary is the same. It's the same contract, Drew. But instead, you got boosters asking, is the coach's salary being tripled? What? What are we talking about? Is it being tripled? The man was a head coach and an assistant athletic director at his previous job, but you're wondering if it's tripled? It's the same contract that you've been signing off on. It pains me even to go through this, but I'm glad this is my last time talking about it. But anyway, would you like to show
something else gonna come up?
I hope not. I hope not. I pray not. So, do you want to go through your timeline of why there are issues?
Yeah, and I'm putting this information out here for general knowledge. I'm not drawing any conclusions, or I'm not trying to get anybody to come to any conclusion. But I think it's important that everybody understands the contention and what has gone on in the Sykes tenure at Florida A&M University. Let's start off with in September 22, when she was added to the athletic director's finalist list. She was not one of the original finalists.
Final 3
for the job.
She was not.
Yes, she and honestly, I think she was may have been number 5 on the list.
I think you're right.
One of those people, one of the final 3, had decided to pull themselves out of the running, and a couple of other things happened. So she was added back in, and she was the dark horse candidate. No one thought she had a chance when we saw the finalist list. No one in here, even when we saw the initial list, no one in hell thought Tiffany Dawn Sykes was going to be named our athletic director. Oh, wow.
300 to 1 odds or something like that. You'd have made a rich man. If you'd been betting on that horse, you'd have made a lot of money that night.
Right. All right. But she began in October. She was announced as athletic director, and she began in January. Let's go to February of 2023. No one knew it at that point in time, but the athletic department rejects the Orange Blossom Classic contract. $465,000, I believe, was the number. $485, Ryan, over 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. $485,000 was the number.
Mm-hmm.
Then FAMU wins tennis. FAMU wins baseball. Then in June, this is when things kind of change. This was when it became public that she had rejected the OBC contract. Before I move on to slide 2, anything on that slide?
It's funny. I see Steve says that she rejected the contract, not FAMU. I will say I will side with Drew on this, because it is known that she alone did not reject the OBC contract. She did not. I think had she really wanted it or kind of put a foot down on it, it could have happened. But I don't think it was a battle she was willing to fight for. And I think listening to other people who said they wanted more home games, that became a FAMU thing. So I don't know. Many people will say that she alone rejected it. I'm going to kind of side with Drew in this and say, in conjunction, it became a university decision.
All right.
But yes, she was a key figure in it. Yes.
Moving on. July, busy month.
Oh, here's where it gets juicy.
Shalon Pillow resigns as women's basketball coach in the middle of the month. Capri Howard was hired as the bowling coach. Let's put a pin in that one right there. Sykes comes under fire for the investigation and champions package increase in price. This is when she started losing people because of the increase in the season tickets packages. And she hires Bridget Gordon as the women's basketball coach. Moving on to September. And this was broke. I believe you guys broke this on the ONG strike zone when Vaughn was on about the tailgating policy. There was a new tailgating policy coming out. What you guys did not break or were unable to break is what that tailgating policy was going to be.
Yeah.
Because between the Wednesday show and the Saturday game, a new tailgating policy came out.
Yes, it did. Boy.
And 98% of the people did not like it.
I still got people upset about it.
Okay. Then you add in the long lines at the first game due to a new ticketing system failure.
Bad start to the season.
Bad start to the season. And the one thing I remember from y'all show specifically, the one thing she had to get right was game one.
Yep. Give credit to Vaughn Wilson for that one. Vaughn correctly made a note about that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. I agree with you, Keith. Let's move on to November. Won SWAC Women's Cross Country Championship, finished runner-up in the SWAC Volleyball Tournament. December, hosts the SWAC Championship game. Let's put a pin in that one because I have some questions about that one a little bit later. Win the Celebration Bowl. Then this is where the bottom starts falling out. Sykes asks the DSOs for funds for football coaches' compensation. DSOs raised $147,000 within about 48 hours, but still, Coach Willie Simmons decides to resign.
And of course, the reason that she asked for those funds was presumably to be a part of a package to keep Willie Simmons as the head coach, to which we kind of later come to the belief that that was never really going to happen.
Willie was being a good steward.
It was being a good steward. He was being a good steward, fighting for his assistant coaches, but it's widely believed that he was gone regardless.
Right. Anything else on that slide stands out to you, Brian?
No. Nope. There's more. Wait, there's more. Go ahead. New year, new problems.
New year, new problems. Sykes recommends Sean Gibbs of Fort Valley State as the next head football coach. Selection is rejected. This is where the board, first time the board kind of plays big brother. Selection is rejected by the board of trustees. Then there was a vote of no confidence.
Well, hold on. And I have to correct you on something because I don't think it was the board of trustees that issued the vote of no confidence. It was technically the National Alumni Association.
All right, let's make that correction then.
Yeah, and I don't know if the selection, again, I don't think the board of trustees at that point, I don't think they had rejected the selection. Again, this was when the word had got out that this was the route. I think it was any and everybody from boosters to 220 Club to national alumni. It was alumni from the far corners of the country that had rejected the idea, and including the players, had rejected the idea that you were wanting to bring in somebody outside of the FAMU league, from the current coaching staff, from Willie Simmons' coaching tree, that you were going to bring in somebody else. That's who rejected the notion. Yeah, that's who rejected. And again, the vote of no confidence came from the National Alumni Association, because actually the boosters, if I recall here on my timeline, the boosters didn't want to do the vote of no confidence because it was proposed in that. I was listening to that call. It was proposed and said, well, we ought to have a vote of no confidence. And somebody was like, whoa, we're not doing all that. But the next day, the National Alumni Association did issue that. And in totality, all of that came to be because you had just asked all of these DSOs to donate that money that you pointed out previously. And then none of them were brought into the loop that you were going to go rogue and hire someone completely that wasn't on the staff. Yeah, so that's how all that shenanigans happened. There you go.
All right.
Cleaned it up. Good job.
Then, about a week later, maybe a week later after that, we had the FAMU bowling controversy over a released student athlete. You want to go into that one, Brian?
That one happened. And what's funny about that is after the rejection of no confidence, they decided, they had a big meeting and all this other stuff, and they decided to actually have a they went with a search committee. Search firm would check again, and then the committee. So the search firm met with a committee of stakeholders, including some student athletes, and the search firm, that was hilarious too, because the search firm came up with some names, and everybody on that stakeholder list is like, no, only names that should be considered are the 5 FAMU related. It was like 5 FAMU people and 1 outside person
who had FAMU ties.
Right. Yeah. So eventually they had already made James Colsey the interim head coach when Coach Simmons resigned, and she decided, along with Dr. Robinson, that I think it's best if we announce James Colsey as the new head coach. So that happened. And then literally a week after that, you had the bowling controversy. The bowling stuff came up actually during that time period where the committee was meeting. All of a sudden, then you had this bowling controversy pop up where a former student athlete had these doggone letters. This stuff, nothing is private ever. But a student athlete had released some information that she made aware to the public, stating that the coach, and again, used the word release.
The coach who you just hired back in July,
right? Had essentially gave some people ultimatums because of academic concerns that these people had. That the students had. The students had concerns about being able to manage or being able to attend and do some work. I don't know. It's all studying thing, but literally 4 or 5 young ladies from the previous squad were let go, or, even though some of them remained on scholarship, key point, some of them, those who stayed remained on scholarship. Some actually left the university. Some decided to just not enroll in the second semester. So, yeah. So that was a hot story for about a good week.
Yeah.
Crazy January. Horrible start to the year.
Moving on to March. A budget deficit of approximately over 800K was announced. I'm still trying to figure that out myself, Blue Jacket.
It's all in the accounting. It's all in the
accounting. I'm gonna be the layman person right now. You got all this money from the SWAC championship that the conference doesn't touch. You got Celebration Bowl payout. 800 in the hole. Where would you have been without those two events? Mind you, SWAC championship is a free home game. Anyway, Coach Sykes announced that Robert McCullum contract will not be renewed. And Brian, I still don't get this one. The Telfair bag purse raffle.
So it was supposed to be a fundraiser. I don't know who it was for. I see.
Bro, time out. I did fundraisers like that when I was working Parks and Rec.
I thought it was for track and field. I thought the bag was for track and field. I'm not really sure which sport it was for.
It's a purse.
It's
It was. How much money was for a purse?
I don't know, Drew.
How much money was you planning on raising with a purse?
I don't know. I don't know how much. I think it was an expensive doggone purse, Drew. So
I know it's an expensive purse. I do know that.
Yeah. So anyway, that nobody seemed to like that. Nobody seemed to like that idea. So
yeah. FAMU wins a share of we're in April now. FAMU wins a share of the SWAC Women's Regular Season Championship. This is the one you cannot do. And I saw the tweet. I forgot where she was at. She called out 3 other alumni who had given to FAMU and said, basically asked FAMU alumni, where y'all money at?
Did this happen around the day of giving? I think this took place during
this was mid-April. This was before Crary was announced, so this had to be in mid-April.
But I think this was around the 1887 strikes, the day of giving, or whatever 1887 minutes is. However, that's like a day and a half or 2 days. I think that's when that happened.
Okay.
And you call it a criticism. I took it as more of a challenge, but maybe I'm being nice. I don't know.
Anyway, it was not received well.
No, it wasn't. It was not received well at all.
It was not received well. And then Patrick Crary is hired as the next basketball coach in April.
Boy,
now, these two in May, these first two, they're in orange because these were not things that she directly did, but these are things that she has to deal with the fallout
going on around involving the university. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, number one is Jerami Gate.
Jerami Gate. I love that.
We just leave that one right there.
Did you coin that? Are you the one who coined that? Or was that Kelvin? Who somebody coined that? Or maybe somebody else entirely.
I don't know, but it's Jerami Gate. We'll just leave that one there.
Jerami Gate.
And then a week after Jerami Gate, you get 3 tornadoes that hit FAMU's campus.
Mm-hmm. Hit Tallahassee.
Why is that significant? Because athletic facilities were damaged during those tornadoes and basically have not been touched since then, no more than the initial cleanup. So you are 6 weeks away from students reporting. Fall workouts will begin soon after that. Although the facilities that were damaged were basically spring sports facilities, there has to be plans for where these people are going to work out during the fall. What happens if these facilities are not able to come online in the spring? She said we got FEMA money for them, but what is the plan, Keith, for getting these facilities back online? Are these facilities even able to get back online in time for the spring? What are these student athletes going to train at during the construction or reconstruction of these facilities? All kinds of things that that she will have to make decisions on based on the fallout of those 3 tornadoes hitting FAMU's campus. Then we had some good news, Brian. FAMU wins HBCU golf championship, and then they win the SWAC East regular season basketball championship. Then June, Brian.
Oh.
And I promise y'all this is the last slide, y'all. Because we haven't gotten to July. That's probably the only reason we don't have another slide.
This is a hell of a timeline, Drew. You did your work here.
All right. You want to go over the convention?
There's nothing to go. Well, so the only thing I can add and say in there is it's the touch heard around the world. Apparently a member of the foundation board, a prominent supporter, was looking to have a conversation with AD in a loud room amongst a bunch of other people, and apparently that touch was not received warmly, to which the AD kind of got loud and almost like, what was it in the Malcolm X "Get your hand out my pocket" scene? It was kind of it kind of went down like that to some degree, where the AD is believed to have said, "You're trying to hit me, you're trying to touch me or something," and then her right hand woman came in and tried to calm the situation and may have said something inappropriate regarding this booster, who is a major contributor and very well connected, by the way. But anyway, it's just an ugly scene, literally.
So is that the reason that we got the fallout? Or is the letter the reason that we got the fallout?
Well, one cannot exist without the other, Drew. And I think when you add in both of them, people know people. And when that happens, trust me, that doesn't go over well. That doesn't go over well.
Right.
So but again, if we're being professional, Drew, should it have mattered? Probably not. But people have feelings, Drew. People have feelings. And you always have to be careful when people have feelings.
People have business interests. And last one, of course, we know what happened this week. Board of Trustees delays approval of basketball coach's contract due to concerns.
And, hey, look, this is all within a year and a half of her on the job, Drew.
18 months. 18 months.
18 months. It's a hell of an 18 months. Heck of a ride. Good and bad. There's been a lot of good moments, as you pointed out here, and that's what's so nice about this. A lot of good moments. Boy, there's a lot of rocky moments in there, too.
Yeah. So, like I say, draw your own conclusions. I just thought I would put this out here for knowledge, so non-FAMU ones can understand what the lay of the land is and why things are the way that they are. Because if you are not a FAMU person, you wouldn't understand it. So some of those things that I brought up, probably to non-FAMU ones, first time you're seeing these things. But everything that I did bring up is public knowledge.
I'm hoping in the second half of this year that some other college's messiness gets put out in public, because I'm tired of talking about Florida A&M's messiness.
We brag different, Brian.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I did toss that to you like a nice little softball. I did, didn't I? I tossed that to you. Good hit. Boy, you a fool. Man. Okay. Can we get ready to put a bow on this?
Put it under the tree.
I was looking and seeing while it was going on.
Anything else in the NBA?
Yeah, we are SWAC. Boy, I tell you, boy, we are SWAC. Okay. And Mike Reed with his countdown. Stop it, Mike. Stop with the countdown, please. It's sad. You know, I'm not. Okay, yes. Paul George rumors are heating up. Hold on. Let me go to Shams. Or was it who did I just see here? Let's see. Or maybe it was Woj who talked about Shams. Shams is saying that Cade Cunningham signing a 5-year deal, 226 max rookie extension. Ridiculous. Okay, here it is. Multiple sources. I've seen this on Sham and I have seen it on Woj. The Clippers have announced that Paul George has decided to sign with another team. It's obviously that puts the 76ers and whomever else is out there in play. It's believed that the Sixers are the leading suitors. Eric Gordon, former IU Hoosier, has agreed to a deal with the 76ers, according to Shams. Or is it Shams? Is it Shams or Shams? Shams Charania. So I think the biggest news, the Paul George. I heard somebody say, I'm looking for this. I saw somebody say that Paul, you were just talking about him. Chris Paul. Somebody had just said Chris Paul was looking at going to the Spurs. Yeah. Let's see if I see anything on that real quick. According to Woj, free agent Chris Paul agreed on a 1-year, $11 million plus deal with the San Antonio Spurs. That's good. The Spurs have some young point guard. That's good for good leadership for a young team. I'd be looking on some plus money. Yes, no. Will the Spurs go to the playoffs next year? I think yes. I think next year will be a good year for the Spurs to get into the playoffs, maybe as an 8 seed or something like that. A lot of tweets coming out regarding the gap in what Paul George wants and what the Clippers are willing to pay. So anyway, I'd encourage you to go check out Woj with a lot of stuff. It says the Clippers have remained steadfast on a 3-year deal similar to structure of Kawhi Leonard's contract. George is seeking a 4-year deal. Klay Thompson plans to have discussions with the Mavericks, Lakers, Clippers, and Sixers in the opening hours of free agency. It might be late by then. Look, Klay, what are you doing? That might be late, don't you think? I didn't know today was I had totally forgotten, Drew, that June 30th was that day. Like it's a busy day on the internet for NBA free agency, which officially doesn't start until midnight.
Yeah, you can't sign until 12:01, but you can start negotiating at 6 o'clock.
Edwin, look, will the NBA allow everyone into the playoffs? I don't know. Here's what would be novel, Edwin. You have the play-in tournament. You should go from the play-in tournament to the, like, if you qualify as like one of the top 4 teams in the play-in tournament, you automatically get a bid into the playoffs. How about that? That'd be a concept for your ass, wouldn't it? Top 4 teams automatically get a guarantee. Now, the top 4 teams. Now, the top and you give them some seeding. You give them some like good seeding. Like you can be seeded no lower than like 4 or 5 or something like that. That would have been advantageous for the Lakers. Can you imagine?
Interesting.
Yeah. I got one non-basketball note, Drew, as we get ready to head out the door. And I'm reading this from ESPN Front Row, which is sort of their public relations note. Today is the last day of the Longhorn Network, Drew, because, of course, July 1 Texas and Oklahoma become members of the SEC. Many new members joined the Big Ten, too many for me to count. Half the Pac-12 becomes members of the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the ACC.
The Big 10 got 20.
Yeah. I saw somewhere that the Pac-12 has a new logo. No, I don't know if it's a new logo, but somehow they've scrubbed 10 teams off of their website. So if you go to the Pac-12's website, I think all you're going to see is Oregon State and is it Washington State?
Washington State.
Yeah, those are remaining two members of the Pac.
The Beavers and the Cougars.
The Pac-2. I don't know, whatever it is.
It's called the Pac.
Yeah, the Pac. So anyway, today's the last day of the Longhorn Network. And it just brought up, and I'm reading this press release coming from the editor, lady by the name of Stephanie Drewley, the head of content operations at ESPN and a 34-year ESPN veteran. She was one of the executives behind the creation and launch of the Longhorn Network and was responsible for the look and strategy of all on-air content. And she just kind of said, this weekend marks the end of an era as we say goodbye to the Longhorn Network. Since its inception, LHN has upheld the ESPN standard for excellence as it celebrated championships, witnessed incredible performances, and shared the stories and aspirations of student athletes, coaches, and fans. The network was truly the first of its kind. And for many of us, alumni and native Texans, it was a passion project. The team was built and maintained in Austin was exceptional. We made incredible television while forging lifelong friendships and incredible memories. Over the next 13 years, I'm skipping here, LHN continuously set high standards for storytelling, winning 96 Lone Star Emmys and countless college sports media awards. The studio at University Park hosted Hall of Fame coaches and athletes, Olympic gold medalists, and 3 Masters champions, just to name a few. The network played an important role in developing what would become the college football playoff megacast. We tried things, took creative risk, and had fun. Longhorn Network set the blueprint for the college networks that would follow. And as the college landscape continued to change, the commitment to our work and each other never wavered. For all of that, we are incredibly grateful. As the Horns transition to the SEC, I hope we can look back at the memories and the impact LHN has made, not only on all of us, but also on the University of Texas and the history of sports broadcasting.
How long was the Longhorn Network in existence?
13 years, from 2011 to 2014.
All right. 2024, you mean?
Yeah. From 2011 to 2014, 13 years. Steve, great point. It turned out to be one of the downfalls of the Big 12. But at the same time, and if I'm not mistaken, they did not have the rights to show a lot of games. I don't even know how many games they technically showed, but what they did is they produced content and found content to produce around the games. Like, the game is just one aspect of things, Drew, but they were able to give people, whether it be post-game, pre-game, practice information about the players, maybe the history of teams. It kind of is one of those things, Drew, that so many of us, I know me and others, we're starving for. And while people are so consumed with media rights and things of broadcasting games, the games are just a small sliver of the college athletic experience, especially for the student athletes. But as fans of our particular universities, wouldn't you love to know more about the history of your university? I'm still discovering and finding out things, Drew, about Florida A&M athletics that I can't say I all knew. Obviously, my 25, 30 years as a Rattler, I know some things because I've been around, paid attention to it, was a part of it. But there's so much more that happened before I even stepped on the yard. And I know that's the case for so many more people, for so many of us alums. I challenge, this was started again. This is part of the reason why Roy and I decided to create the Black College Sports Network. Because we wanted to be able to tell, not only broadcast games, but tell the stories. And I'm sure that's why you have other entities, HBCU Sports, HBCU Game Day, and others that have been created recently or in the past 20, 25 years. But there's still so much more that we can do, that can be done. So I wanted to kind of tip my hat to the Longhorn Network, but also kind of say, let it be an inspiration to somebody to either, maybe you've got the resources but don't have the time. Then there are people out there who've got the time and the passion but don't have the resources. Somehow we've got to find each other. We've got to find each other so that we can create and tell more of these stories. It's not enough just for the games to be broadcast on a Saturday. There's so many other events happening during the week, and there's so many more stories to tell. And so I hope we can find the inspiration to do that. And for those of us who are looking, hopefully we can find the supporters and the resources to be able to turn our passions into projects that have meaning. What's your final thoughts, Drew?
Bruh, on that note, let's pick up this black show from this black job and get out of here. As we cover our black college sports on the Black College Sports Network.
Appreciate it. Everybody hit the thumbs up and the like button, however you're watching the show. We appreciate you watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Please follow and subscribe us on all of our destinations, whether they be Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube. We appreciate your support. Go download the BCSN Pod Zone everywhere you listen to podcasts. BCSN Pod Zone on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and more. That's where you can find us. Good show tonight, Drew. Good having you back.
I wonder if, as people go to their black jobs this week, will they have any black vacation time come Independence Day?
Hopefully, you got some time off.
Yeah, as they take their black vacations. Man, let me get out of here before I say
public service announcement. Don't hold firecrackers in your hands and stay safe distance from fireworks that are exploding in your neighborhood.
And stay off of Black and A.D.
I don't even know what that is. All right.
Indeed.com.
Indeed.
The job site.
Is there a Black Indeed?
I guarantee you there will be after with these black jobs.
Somebody might say that.
Do it.
Somebody say that might be racist, Drew, having a black Indeed. You guys take care. Have a good week. If you're celebrating the 4th of July, do it safely. And don't forget, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Tuesday night. Thursday is July 4th. I don't know if there's going to be a 4th of July episode or not. Maybe there will. The O&G Strike Zone will be Wednesday night. And then at the end of the week, Carlos Brown on Saturday. So, all right. Thank you for watching the show, consuming the content. Be well. For A.D. Drew, I'm Bryan Fulford. Have a great 4th of July. Have a great week. Be safe. Stay cool. And we will see you later.
Travel light, everybody. We'll holler.
New outro. Here we go.
You stay on